I'm not sure if I should share this or not. Should I tell the world to watch this, or you tell me?
I would, yeah.
Okay, but they're going to be very confused. It's going to be very misleading to them what it is that I'm telling them to watch. Hi, good morning. Glenn Clark Radio, Monday edition of the program. Glenn, he's Griffin. Yes, obviously. We got everything covered from the Screen Actors Guild Awards, a thorough breakdown of everything that happened. We've got it for you today because that's what you expect here on GCR. By the way, I haven't talked about this yet. In the last couple of weeks, when we hit that dip in my things to watch, I attempted to watch a few episodes of television program Euphoria. And I will tell you that what I've learned is that television program Euphoria is effing terrible. What a bad TV show that is. I know. Here's what we're going to do.
So I didn't watch it.
We're going to make everyone vapid and likable, but you're going to want to look at Sydney Sweeney, so you'll watch anyway. There's this thing that happened. I don't know if it's Succession's fault. Like, in Succession, you didn't like any of the characters, but you didn't like them in a cheeky way. You didn't like them because you were laughing at them. Like, they were all boobs. Or most of them were. This is, you don't like them, and it's awful. There's nothing cheeky about it. They're just vapid monsters. Obviously, I'm going to finish it because that's the way that I do things.
Well,
Still,
I guess you don't have to.
It's what I do.
I know, but if you're saying it's so miserable, it's such an unpleasant experience.
God, it's so bad.
There's other stuff. You can start Reacher.
Yeah, I could start Reacher. I might at some point. I might get around to that. I might. There's this. The Bear is guilty of this. There is this thing where, like, hey, if we make them pleasant enough to look at, then it doesn't really matter if. Pro wrestling experiences all the time. In pro wrestling, here's the deal. We want the good guy to beat the bad guy. It's the nature of how this has worked throughout the history of cinema, you want there to be protagonist, antagonist, all of those things. And then somebody says, that's boring, that's formulaic. We got to get creative and clever, and everyone's a good guy, or everyone's a bad guy, or you don't know who the good guy is, and you don't know who the bad. At some point, there has to be something that you're watching for. Like, why am I going back to watch? And again, I think that they believe the reason why you're going to go back to watch, and I'll be just frank about it, is Sydney Sweeney's boobs. I think that's what they believe you will continue to go back and watch this show for.
And just the other great performances that are...
Like what?
Zendaya. She's pretty good.
She's fine. I mean, I like Zendaya. Like, I have no... You know, she danced with Jacoby
We get
Jones,
it. You only watch for Sydney Sweeney. We get that. But
yeah,
other people watch for Zendaya.
I'm the only one that's watching that. No disrespect to Zendaya, who's a fine performer, but like there are so few redeemable qualities about this television show. It's just so much. So yeah, I spent some time with that. I didn't spend any time with the Screen Actors Guild Awards, but we'll break it all down for you this morning. Right here on GCR. Coming up a little bit later on in the program, Matt McCall is going to join us. Coach Matt McCall, that is. Get his thoughts on the Terps, college hoops. He's with NBC and Field of 68 and Sirius XM and CBS HQ, and the list goes on. Of course, a former head coach at a couple of places, including UMass. We will get Matt McCall's thoughts on a Terps team that I think at the moment, if they did one of those bracket, I would really kind of be – I wouldn't know how they would be anything lower than a 4 seed at the moment, given some of the dominoes that have fallen around them. Now, maybe I'm, again, being too bullish, and the committee will default back to, like, wins above bubble, some of those other numerics that aren't as favorable to the University of Maryland, but boy, it looks like they'll definitely in the new poll probably be up in like the top 16.
Yeah, they're nice. They move into they're top 4 now in the Big Ten without having to play a game this weekend.
At the moment,
so that worked out.
Purdue losing to Indiana yesterday. That was a little.
Wisconsin losing to Oregon.
Yeah. We'll talk about all of it. Matt McCall a little bit later on in the program. It's also a Monday, so Jeremy Conn will join us as he typically does. All of that on the way. Today's show is brought to you by the CIAA tournament, and we are 1 day away.
Correct. Tomorrow, Baltimore is welcoming the excitement of the Food Line CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament at CFG Bank Arena. Again, starts tomorrow. It runs February 25th, Tuesday, February 25th through March 1st. Get your tickets. They are still available now at Ticketmaster.com. Again, head over to Ticketmaster.com to get your tickets to the Food Line CIAA men's and women's basketball tournaments at CFG Bank Arena starting tomorrow, February 25th, running through the 1st.
Coming up today at PressBoxOnline.com, I'm writing about Towson. Towson over the weekend clinched a share of the CIAA. It's just too much. They clinched a share of the CAA regular season title. They will look to make it an outright for the first time in school history, in the CAA that is, that look to make it an outright regular season title on Thursday night when they host William and Mary. And I hope – I'm taking the kids on Thursday night, by the way. The whole family's going to go. I hope that we create that sort of memorable festive atmosphere. I allude to this in the column, and I'm God, I hate doing this because it feels like I'm telling you got to pick one or the other. We were doing a segment on the radio show yesterday about transitioning from the frustration of what the Orioles did and did not do in the offseason towards the excitement of, hey, but baseball's back. And I know a lot of people spent part of the weekend watching the Orioles because they were on MASN on Saturday and they were on MLB Network yesterday. And the machine hit a home run yesterday, so we got that going for us. I asked, hey, are you there yet? Have you swung from one to the other? Have you swung from the disappointment of we wanted this to be the all-in off-season for the Orioles, new ownership and young core, just spend some money and that not happening? And you can use whatever word you want to use, weird, disappointing, uneven, whatever it is. However you want to describe it, we've all felt it. Maybe a handful of sycophants or whatever, but, people that have a different opinion. Maybe there are people that would say, no, I'm not disappointed in the Orioles offseason at all. I think they did exactly what they should do. But I think the majority of us were disappointed. But it's tough because we're not going to trash the team because we still think that there is a good core of baseball players here and that at minimum they're competitive. They have a chance to be a lot more than that if certain things go right. So when do we transition from that disappointment, the sting of the offseason not being what we wanted it to be, into the excitement of, but right, baseball's back? And it was an interesting conversation that we had yesterday, and I got a lot of responses about it. And, it was all over the place. Some people saying, I feel like I'm still going to feel some of that even as the season begins. Somebody said, they get off to a 10-13 start, I'm going to be obsessed with what they didn't do in the offseason. Like, this is going to be determined. My excitement level will be determined by the start that they get off to. One of the responses that I got was, and look, I'm openly admitting, and you guys have known this for years, I'm not going to sit down and watch spring training. It's not going to be appointment viewing. It will never be. If we get to a point, as we pray to our overlords, that we're allowed to watch midweek afternoon games, then at some point I'll put it up on this screen, at least in the background of what I'm doing when I work in the afternoons. But unlike during the season, where it's a point where every night I'm sitting down and watching the Orioles. where it's what my house looks like on a Tuesday night. That will never be the case for me for spring training baseball or for any exhibition sport ever again in my life, unless, again, like my kids are involved with it. It's just my reality. I've gotten to that place. There's something else. I could watch a terrible television show like Euphoria instead of watching exhibition sports.
You're the minority in that opinion. But
it's awful. That's for me. So, the start of spring training games isn't the line of demarcation for me where I shift from one to the other. I'm still more conflicted about the construction of the roster than I am excited about baseball. But opening day will be where that turns for me. When actual baseball is back to be my accompaniment for the summer, it'll flip. Our conversation will be based on what they do or do not do on the field and not about what they did or did not do. Now, I'm sure that we will reference that still. I'm sure that will come up. But that'll be where it flips. For other people, this is enough. And like I saw it on Twitter over the week. There were lots of people that were sitting down and watching the Orioles. One particular response that I got, there were two different people that said something extraordinarily similar, which was not going to be super invested in baseball yet, too busy with Maryland basketball and Alex Ovechkin's chase of the record. And for some reason I can't believe how this gets me to why I wrote a column about Towson basketball. It's crazy, right?
Oh,
like this is where my brain works.
It's Ovechkin, Towson basketball.
For some reason, that irked me. It did. And not because years ago I fought like a war against a one man. I was the guy. Baltimore sports fans embracing Washington team. It genuinely bothered me. I got over that some time ago. Part of it was recognizing, with all due respect, how few of you do. I think that was one of the issues that I had, is it felt like I was being beat over the head by all these. And then, like, we did a lot of market research, and then I actually, like, went out and saw when some bar would try to put on a Capitals game and no one would give a rat's ass. Like, part of it for me was, like, I misjudged how many, and it did. It bugged me. Like, it irked me. What all you guys want? And then I realized it just wasn't that many people. So I kind of got over it, right? Like, so what if a handful of people care about the Washington teams? God bless. And that really is sort of the way that I feel anymore. For the most part,
so you're going to be right about the Wizards as well and how that also eats up a lot of people's time.
No doubt. Anywhere in the world. They're still looking for that one. I say all that to say I don't care. I'm still going to clown somebody that's a fan of the Lakers or the Notre Dame or the Yankees or Duke or whatever. Like, I'll still do that, Cowboys. But I don't really care who you root for, particularly outside of, like, I'll never understand someone who embraces front runners. And let's be frank, part of a handful. There's a reason why there's more Capitals fans in Baltimore than there are Wizards fans in Baltimore. It's because Alex Ovechkin's been here, and the Capitals won a Stanley Cup, and all of those things. I'll never understand the front-running concept. But I'm over it. I am. Inherently, I don't care who you root for. Root for whoever you want. I'll never understand it. I don't understand people north of Baltimore County, Harford County. I do get it. There's a lot of Capitals fans in Anne Arundel County. It's a huge Capitals area. And I get that more. It's close. I completely understand it. Really. But it irked me because I said, there's a really great Baltimore sports story that's potentially unfolding right in front of us. we all embrace, like, this is the time of year where traditionally we've always said all we need is for Maryland basketball to bridge the gap from the end of Ravens season to the start of Orioles season. It's been an old trope that's existed in Baltimore sports radio or sports media. Just get us from one to the other. Be relevant enough that it helps us, because we need something that a large group of fans will care about so that we can do more content about it. And so we would say that over the years. If we could just get Maryland basketball to just help us get from one to the other, we'd appreciate that. And this is one of those years where they are, right? Like, they are relevant enough. People are watching. The community is engaged. People care. It's nice there's 2 Baltimore kids on the team, so there's a little more Baltimore interest because of it. Good things. Massive game on Wednesday night. Huge. Everybody in this, not everybody, you know what I mean? Like, the majority of sports fans in this region will be watching Maryland play Michigan State on Wednesday night. That's a good thing for those of us that do this, because it means we know. Do Maryland content. You'll keep a larger audience. I wish that the second response from these multiple people wasn't Maryland and Alex Ovechkin's chase. With no disrespect, I think it's amazing that he's going to break the goals record. That's incredible. Personally, I care equally as much about that as I'd be lying if I finished the sentence. Equally as much as when LeBron James broke the NBA scoring record. The truth is, I cared more about
The Ovechkin.
No, LeBron.
Oh, really?
100%. I have no connection at all. Alex Ovechkin might as well be playing in Seattle to me. Now, that's weird. I have covered Capitals. Like, I did work for D.C., like, sports stations and affiliate. Like, I have gone and covered Capitals games in the Alex Ovechkin era. But I have no personal connection to it whatsoever. If he played for the Seattle Kraken, it would mean exactly the same to me. Now, I get it. There are people that are here that feel some sort of connection. I'll never understand, but I accept that they do. I just wish that sentence was not invested yet on the Orioles, because I'm too busy with Maryland basketball and Towson basketball. Because that's a local story unfolding right in front of us. And a chance for them to do something they've never done before on Thursday night. And I hope that with that place will go be crazy. And if for some reason they don't do it on Thursday, it's a tough game against William & Mary. The same thing on Saturday. I hope that even if they do it on Thursday, it's still a packed house on Saturday. You know, it's not a school night. I hope that we create one of those moments. I've said eternally, it doesn't take much to figure out why a Ravens or an Orioles playoff game is big. But the things that I think about all the time when people ask me about, like, my favorite moments in Baltimore sports, I will tell them, like, when I was at the UMBC Maryland soccer match and they had to turn thousands of people away at the door because the place was overflowing. And the atmosphere was insane. And nobody in there had to be told this is a place to be seen. And you couldn't say to somebody in DeKalb, Illinois, hey, this is a big thing. They wouldn't get it. You had to be there. I've been to so many Maryland Hopkins lacrosse games at Homewood Field, or Loyola Hopkins lacrosse games, either place, or Loyola Maryland lacrosse games at Ridley. That it was just electric. And it was our thing. We knew. Those, to me, will always be more special. There's a great chance to create that on Thursday night. It should be that way on Thursday night. And I get it. There's still, for a lot of, like, people that care about Towson, a bit of a, they're just going to blow it in the postseason anyway. They always do. I understand that. I do. Until they don't, you're going to feel that way. I get it. They've won a lot of games in the regular season a bunch of times. Now, they've never won an outright CAA title. But they've won a lot of games, and they've never gotten past the semifinals of the CAA tournament. Like, I understand someone is feeling that, but I would like to think that it's most casual fans don't even know that. And the most ardent Towson fans that do know that, I would like to think would be the ones that would be out there supporting. Like, I feel like there'd be a disconnect if the reason why you didn't go was because, hey, I've been let down in the postseason before. If you know that, then you should be the most hardcore fan. It's a really unique opportunity to create a Baltimore sports moment and memory. And yeah, I mean, like, you could also go down to D.C. in 2 weekends. And again, some of you apparently have no problem embracing D.C. and go try to create more of a home court advantage down there as Towson does try to finally break through and end this 34-year drought and get back to the NCAA tournament. But I apologize. I don't want to make it a juxtaposition. I really don't. If you are into I know he scored 3 goals and was he 13 away? I know that there are people that are super into that. And that's cool, man. It is. I personally will never understand there being more interest in that from someone here than in Towson basketball. I'll never get it. It's maybe the wrong way of saying it. I think that some people simply don't. They just operate like there are 4 big sports leagues. Those are the only things that I care about. And I'm trying to come up with a better word because I can understand that those people exist. I just can't understand that way of thinking. I identify as a Baltimore sports fan. And there's a great Baltimore sports story that is playing out in front of us. And we have the chance to be part of a great Baltimore sports moment on Thursday night. The moment a couple years ago when they replayed the Delaware game was really cool. I mean, it wasn't even, for one, it wasn't even an outright title. And 2, it wasn't even a full basketball game. And yet, it was this really cool moment. This, you have a shot at both. This, by the way, Maryland plays on Wednesday, so you don't have to choose one or the other. You can watch the Maryland game on Wednesday and then be at the Towson game on Thursday. And Lord knows you're not allowed to watch the Orioles, so you're not missing anything. This is the thing I hope you'll embrace. I'm writing about that today. I don't know why that was the soliloquy. I was dancing all over the place. Like the disappointment of the Orioles offseason, Alex Ovechkin somehow gets to Towson. Like that's what happened yesterday.
I think it makes sense.
This all started with me doing a segment about the Orioles, which led to responses about Alex Ovechkin, which led me to Towson basketball. That's how my day went and how I ended up writing for PressBoxOnline.com.
Oh, I get the connection now.
What?
So because Thursday night is the hot Towson hockey jersey giveaway.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, so that's why you
I'll look
went
forward
to that. I guess
is,
that's
is everybody getting one of those? Or
first 750. First 750.
Ooh, Mrs. Clark just asked if we could go to dinner beforehand. I might have to let her know.
No, we're camping out as soon as the show ends.
Only 750? That's not many.
Well, then, who do you want me to talk to?
Yeah, I do want you to talk to somebody.
First 1250 at least, right?
Yeah, right? Something like that. I'm expecting there to be a nice crowd on Thursday night. Got a chance to win a championship.
And, of course, dollar beers night as well. So.
Oh, the kids are really excited. They are fired up.
They're up. The boys are? They were like,
Graham,
do we have to go? And then you said,
like,
well, hold on.
Dollar beer night? Hell yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a great night. Well, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna win. Like, I hope it's gonna be a great night, but it can be a great night, and it should be a great atmosphere, and it should be one of those things that, 5-10 years from now, when somebody says, "Hey," like I will think about Reggie Holmes Senior Night at Morgan State for the rest of my life. Like being there 15, 16 years ago, whatever it is at this point, was an incredibly special thing for me as a Baltimore sports fan. Anybody that was at, I know UMBC didn't host the second time they won or they reached the NCAA tournament, but they hosted the championship game. I guess that was in the NEC. The first time in 2008, I believe that was. And anybody that was at the rack that day will tell. I mean, it was jammed. I mean, like, the rack was, it was a smaller building. And it was people on top of people. I was not there that day because I still lived in Arizona at that point. I had not quite moved home yet. But everybody that was there will tell you, never have anything like it. It's not going to quite be like that because TU Arena is not the Towson Center. But that's the type of thing that we're talking about. Memories that you carry with you. I'm not trying to say it's cooler than the Ravens winning a Super Bowl or playoff games. It's not. It's things that will be unique to you that you'll understand forever how special it was. For me, I'll always remember Joe Walters scoring 6 goals for Maryland on a Saturday night against Hopkins at Homewood Field when there wasn't room. You couldn't even get a second foot down in standing room areas. Whatever that was, 2006, I guess that was. I'll remember those things. Because for anyone that was there, they were special. It's the type of thing that when you meet somebody else who happened to be there, you guys connect. You're like, oh, my God. That was the coolest thing ever, wasn't it? I don't know that that's what it's going to be like on Thursday night, but I hope so. I hope we create another moment, another atmosphere, another memory. For a team, all they've done is won 13 out of 14 games. Seems good. Seems like maybe a little worthy of the attention. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that caught my eye this weekend. Maryland lacrosse continues to roll. They went to Princeton, got a win. Hopkins lost to Carolina. Carolina looks really good. Boy, those are some scenes with the Petramala boys, like coming up to Hopkins, getting a win. That was tough for Hopkins fans, but Carolina looks really good. And then, struggles continue for Loyola lacrosse. Not great. Although Loyola basketball turned around and pounded Colgate yesterday, which is wild.
Didn't really see that coming.
And then I watched actually the end of the Navy Holy Cross game yesterday, too, when Navy tried to, ooh, boy, what you doing? But then they ended up winning in overtime, so all's good there. I think that covers the local scene from the weekend. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's anything that I'm forgetting about locally from the weekend. I'll try to come up with it. Struggles continue for UMBC, man.
Yeah.
Not great. All right, we come back in. KZ's joining us?
Yeah.
What the hell's he joining us for? What's he going to do?
I can tell him no then, I guess.
Well, what would you want to do?
He said he really wants to talk NFL draft. And
well, we can't. All right, it's Combine Week. We can, I guess. That's fine. Sure, KZ will join us. How about that? Glenn Clark Radio.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry. Protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
You're gonna love February at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Sweeten your Valentine's Day with a chocolate bar February 13th and 14th. Pamper yourself and your partner with Valentine's Day spa discounts February 10th through 21st. Celebrate the Year of the Snake and win a Lunar New Year luxury brand collection February 28th. Plus more ways to play, dine, and win all month. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at driveeasymd.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. Well, NFL Combine Week gets underway. So it's weird. The week begins tomorrow. Tomorrow's like the first day that you'll see media folks like reporting live from the Combine, and press conferences will get underway. The drills themselves that you can watch if you have literally nothing else to do with your life. If you just are different, I was some words I'm going to use, but I'm going to choose not to use them because I'm pretty sure that Griffin is the exact person.
You mean a football fan? Is that
about.
what you're talking about?
If you are a true degenerate, you can begin watching the drills on Thursday and throughout the course of the weekend for the NFL Combine. So let's dive in a little bit. Our buddy KZ is with us this morning, Mr. Ken Zalis. What's going on, pal? How are you?
I thought I was coming on to talk about the Terps baseball team.
You want to talk about
35 runs this weekend?
Well, yeah, but I think didn't they lose the other two games they played? I'm pretty sure I saw that. By the way, hang on a second. Let me make sure I have this right.
Didn't another local school, like somebody broke like a 55-game losing streak?
UMES had lost, I believe,
they lost
correct,
55
straight games, and then they beat Towson this weekend.
Oh,
so Maryland,
good.
yeah, I know.
Great.
Maryland.
Towson's not having a good weekend.
Well, no, they claimed to share the CAA title. What are you talking about?
Basketball, yeah.
Maryland beat Western Carolina in baseball 35-12 on Saturday.
Nice.
On Friday night, they lost 8-7. On Sunday, they lost 11-9. So they scored 35 runs in one game and lost the weekend series. For the math, I believe they scored 51 runs this weekend and lost the series.
They had a plus, 30?
Not great.
They had a plus 20 run differential.
And lost. Not ideal. Not the way you're supposed to draw it up. What's going on with you? What are you up to?
I'm just hanging out, you know. It's softball season, so it finally got warm today. So
I was going to say, when you say it's softball season, you guys haven't started playing games yet.
No, so last week, of course, when it was 19 degrees outside, was the start of practices. So I have yet to go outside because I have a steadfast wind chill under 45 degrees. We stay inside rule.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. I wouldn't.
So while all the lacrosse teams were out there and complaining to me as they came inside, I was like, hey,
you should have played softball. That's what you should have done.
That's what I said. It's like, this is why softball is the best sport here at Friends, because we have this rule.
It sounds pretty
but
good.
But other than that, you know, I watch probably more preseason baseball than I'd like to admit this weekend.
That's a really weird way to spend your time. There's just got to be something else to watch. All right,
There really wasn't. The viewing this weekend was poor.
Well, I agree that there weren't the major events.
I heard there's a good NASCAR race last night, right? That was
okay. Sure,
that's not a sport.
Yeah, there weren't. This was not a good weekend for major events. There's no question about that. Particularly after we had like the SNL thing last weekend, and like that sucked up a lot of our. And I guess for the people that care about the NBA All-Star Game, the Daytona 500, not things that I care about, but some people do.
Some people do. I mean, I'm sure they were.
Yes, there were major events. This weekend lacked for major events, but I would still prefer to watch lacrosse than baseball at this point. That's just where
I wish lacrosse, and I say this because I watched some lacrosse, but I wish they would major NCAA lacrosse would figure out how to put a game of the week on.
Well, you don't. So you don't have ESPN Plus.
Well, I do.
Okay, then like this is I don't understand this. Most people I feel like anymore Our ESPN
But
Plus
not
people.
everybody does.
Well, this is where I think there are genuine things to complain about, like when big Maryland lacrosse game is on Big Ten Network Plus. Like they played Syracuse last week, and that game was on Big Ten Network Plus. That's awful. No one is going to buy Big Ten Network Plus. You're never, unless you have a kid on the team, you're never going to purchase Big Ten Network Plus because there's not enough content there to justify it. You need it 3 times a year for something that you want to watch. You can't justify making that purchase. But ESPN Plus is different. There's so much content on ESPN Plus that I feel like if it's on ESPN Plus at this point, then you're probably able to watch it because that worm has turned, and I feel like more and more people have access to ESPN Plus.
I guess I would just like to see.
It just feels like you want to yell at somebody. You're an old man. You
want
to yell at a crowd.
Hey, I'm very calm in this.
Yeah. All right, so the combine gets underway this week.
Wahoo!
I love this version of Ken. The version of Ken that doesn't give an F anymore. I love this guy.
He's giving more Fs than ever.
This is like
when
Drew told me about turning 60, and he's like, "I turned 60 and I stopped caring. I'm just gonna say."
I'm getting there. I'm not quite with Drew.
Yeah.
But there are things I used to be that person that I taped the combine, and I would go back and watch it. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah, why would I do that?
I was like, because I went back, and I always went back to my pre-combine thoughts, and I like trusting my eyes more. For example, if I had the number 1 overall pick this year, and I needed a quarterback, to me it's a no-brainer because I watched a lot of college football. I'm taking Sanders. He's a franchise changer. And where all these people are coming out now and saying, well, his game doesn't fit the NFL. Do you watch college football?
Yeah, right.
Like what part of his game? The fact that he likes to stay in the pocket and throw the ball? The fact that he's athletic, that he can run the ball when he needs to? That he's accurate and has a strong arm? Which part of that doesn't fit the NFL?
Yeah, I don't know I have no idea. No clue.
So they're gonna do all these things and now they're gonna complain, well, he's not gonna participate in the combine. Well, why should he?
Right.
He's a top 5 pick. Only thing you can do is find some Yahoo that says, oh, well, he threw to guys he's never thrown to and he overthrew them. Shut up. It's just silly to me. And just like Cam Ward, I watch Cam Ward. I don't like his game. You talk about a guy that I just don't like his game. He put up a bunch of numbers. I'm taking Sanders all day.
Do you not like his game because you don't think he's that he has the same?
I think he's athletic. I think he needs the perfect pocket to be successful. Anytime the guy gets any pressure whatsoever, he throws the ball to the other team.
Okay, but here's what I'm struggling with. What I'm struggling with at the top of the draft, and we'll get to the other. At the top of the draft, I'm struggling with every time I see a mock draft that has one of the first 2 teams doing anything other than taking the 2 quarterbacks.
Well, if you think I'm with you. You have to have a quarterback to win in this league.
When I see somebody mocking Abdul Carter to the Cleveland Browns, all I can say to myself is they've had Abdul Carter for the last decade.
They have.
If any franchise should understand that no matter how great you think this player is, it ain't gonna matter without a quarterback. It should be the Cleveland Browns.
So here's the thing with these mocks, okay? Most mocks, if you're good at mock drafting, and I don't want to hear your comment, but if you're good at mock drafting,
okay,
you have to take the franchise that's making the pick into consideration. So when somebody mocks Carter to the Browns, that's a very Browns thing to do because they're stupid and they don't do the thing they're supposed to do. So they're saying, well, we're going to trade this guy because he doesn't want to play with us. Well, we need to replace that guy. Forget about the whole quarterback situation. We'll just go sign free agent Sam Darnold and that'll fix everything.
Right.
So don't get too upset with the mocks.
But the Browns uniquely, they can't sign Sam. That's the part that makes this so interesting. The Browns only have one path for solving quarterback. They cannot spend their money. They have too much money sunk into another quarterback. They have to draft one because they have to get a quarterback at a more favorable dollar amount.
Again, I agree with you. Again, we're talking about the Browns. And the most Browns thing to do, as we've all talked about year after year after year, would just simply say, I'm going to pass on the quarterback. I'm going to take Carter. And we'll figure it out later. That would be a very Browns thing.
If they are trading Myles Garrett, how much they get for Myles Garrett, I don't know what that price will end up being. Everybody seems to think it's too. People seem to think that you got to get 2 first-round picks for him. I'm like,
nobody's giving you 2 first rounds.
Well, I mean, there are teams.
I know, but
why wouldn't the Commanders do that?
Why wouldn't the Commanders?
Yeah, why wouldn't the Commanders?
Because you have a good young and you need, and he doesn't solve everything.
He doesn't solve everything, but
he doesn't solve everything. You still got to pay him. So I don't.
But they have boatloads of cap space. They couldn't have more cap space.
I know, but
So pay him. Like, you've got Myles Garrett now, and presumably 2 late first-round draft picks. If I'm the Commanders, I'm doing that. Like, clearly you're not. That's not your first offer. You're not like, please take my 2 first-round draft picks. But if that's what it takes to get Myles Garrett, and I'm the Washington Commanders, absolutely.
Yeah, you could also wait till they release him and sign.
Well,
anyway, I get you, but I don't. I believe my eyes at this point more than I do what happens at the combine. There are certain things that I like seeing at the combine. I like.
Okay, so tell me this year uniquely what interests you. What is something? Not even if you're not going to be watching live. What is something that you think?
So I pay attention to 3 cone drills. They don't get any kind of
exciting.
Don't roll your eyes. He rolled his eyes.
Who did?
Glenn did.
Just the idea of watching 3 cone drills to me.
No. I'm not saying watching it. I like to see the numbers of the 3 cone drills, because that is to me, the 3 cone drill is more of a representative of an overall athletic profile and a football movement than a 40-yard dash does. So I like things like that. I like the minutia of the drills that they don't show you on the NFL Network and things like that. I like the only drill I like seeing from the wide receivers is the gauntlet drill. Because I like to see who can actually catch a football with their hands.
Yeah, sure, I get that. I understand that.
But other than that, like the benching and the 40-yard dash and the quarterback drills throwing to wide receivers you've never seen run in your life, I'm over it. So for me, it's like I like to see the numbers of 3 cone drills coming out from the edge guys. I like to see how explosive they are, how quickly they can get around somebody. Do they have a swim move? Things like that.
Chatting, KZ is with us this morning here on GCR. It feels like, from a Ravens perspective, the 2 most relevant positions at the moment are offensive tackle, with the caveat of if somehow they get Ronnie Stanley signed or in some bizarro world put a tag on him, then that will go away, and edge. And obviously we know that when we say those things, they, of course, could just end up taking a cornerback or a safety because that's what they do.
Okay.
Like that's.
I was going to say cornerback and safety is not far down on that.
No, it's not. I think these are the 2 most intriguing spots because I think that most people would tell you if Ronnie Stanley leaves, that's their the number 1 issue you have in looking at this team. If Ronnie Stanley's gone, is left tackle by far with a bullet. It is the biggest problem that this organization faces if Ronnie Stanley leaves. I would say looking at the roster, if you put Ronnie Stanley back on the team today and you look big picture at the roster, I still think most people would be inclined to say edge rush, despite the fact that we're coming off a good season for Odafe Oweh, because I think it's so unique to having watched the Philadelphia Eagles and seeing what they were able to generate just with a 4-man rush that everybody says, yeah, you still need more. Now, to your point, like, Ardarius Washington's going to be back, but I think most people do want to see Kyle Hamilton be used more like the Swiss Army knife that he had been used in the past, and so I think they would like to see the Ravens bring another safety. And clearly you're not continuing the Brandon Stevens experiment in Baltimore. Like, those days are over, so if you want to keep using Marlon Humphrey on the inside, even if you believe Nate Wiggins is ready to take a step forward, I would agree that they need another cornerback too. So, like, I definitely think safety and cornerback could be where they go. I just think the most intriguing at the moment are edge and offensive tackle. Are there names that you're starting to spend more time with yet at this point in the process?
So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm going to say 5 to 7 when it's all said and done, probably offensive tackles that go in the first round. If you go to Ohio State, Josh Simmons is a guy that somewhere between 20 and 30, he's probably going to go. The kid out of Oregon, Josh Connerly, is probably in that 20 to 30 range. Just because I think the gods like messing with me. There's the kid out of Minnesota, 6'6", 330.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ariante Urise.
Yeah, it's you can hear it. You can just Dominic DeCoco.
I love when I start to do this, and I'm like, the Ravens are going to take some dude that I literally can't pronounce his name. I think if you're looking in that range.
I think the question that I have, like, with all this is, like, are they really plug and play left tackles, right? Maybe not. And that's I think that's the correct answer.
The reason I say that, okay? Rosengardner, okay?
Close.
Do you think he could have been a plug-in the way he played right tackle?
Right, and that's.
Do you think? And I know. The way he took to it, do I think that he could have, if Ronnie Stanley was the Ronnie Stanley who played 8 games, he could have filled in adequately based on what I saw and could have been a plug and play. I don't know that the answer is 100% no to that. So some of these guys could be, and I don't think any of them have to be, because I think you can put him on the left side and bring one of these guys in and be a plug and play on the right side. So I don't necessarily know that you need to look at a plug and play left tackle in this draft if Ronnie Stanley isn't back.
I struggle with this because in the argument,
he was so good, dude.
He was very good. I agree. For the most part, he was very good.
For the most part, he struggled against the guys that everybody struggles.
And as I said before, if the Ravens drafted him, scouting that, hey, he was the right tackle for a left-handed quarterback at Washington, we believe he's a left tackle, then I also think that influences the decision that they're about to make in Ronnie Stanley. Like, I think that if they did that with the utter belief that he was a future left tackle, then I don't think that they're going to pay Ronnie Stanley a certain amount of money. I just think they're going to say, we made the plan. That's the plan. In talking to a lot of personnel folks around the league about this, I've gotten a lot back more of, we think the Ravens have solved right tackle. We're not sure that he could be the solution at left tackle. But if they think he can, then I think you're right. And it does change a lot of this conversation that we're having. And it might even be that if they think that he's the left tackle, they don't even feel like they need to draft another, that they think that in their world, Faalele could play right tackle, or they could find a right tackle on the free agent market. They could bring in the next Morgan Moses type to come in and solidify right tackle for a little while. Or
I would love to have them change one spot versus 3. You know what I mean? I get it. We can always find a guard.
Well, they're definitely they have to. They're almost certainly changing left guard to begin with because McCary's gone, right? Like,
correct.
He's gone.
Correct. But
so
I'm just saying, like here we are. We have a scenario where we just talked about that. We're now changing 4 spots on the offensive line again.
Potentially.
I would love some,
consistency. I understand that.
And so I just.
Right, but the only way to get that is with a plug-and-play left tackle, and you're not telling me that...
Yes, and I get that. I would love to see Faalele, or however we're saying him today, just stay where he is, because he played so well.
It worked. Right, correct. It worked. I understand exactly
let's not create another problem, potentially. But again, the Stanley thing is there, and look, he's not. If it's me, I'm not paying him top 5 offensive tackle money.
What about with the edges?
you got to find a dog. I mean, and they're so few and far between. But you got to you look at the end of every year. You look back up at the Ravens and their sack totals, and they're always impressive. They're in the top 5, top 10 of the league, and my thing is with the edge at this point, you just need a guy that is going to consistently be the guy that gets after the quarterback on every play. And I don't know that there is that guy where they're picking maybe a guy like Mike Green out of Marshall if he if he falls to that range. The kid out of Boston College comes to mind. Again, another name I'm not even going to try to pronounce.
What's the interesting one for me is so everybody keeps talking about the two guys from Texas A&M, Scourton and Stewart, and there's this wide disparity on opinions that I've gotten about Stewart. Everything from he's such a freak. I'm pretty sure somebody told me that Daniel Jeremiah mocked him to the Ravens in his last mock draft. But people tell me he's such a freak. He's one of the top 20 players in this draft. And then there are people that say, yeah, but he's not naturally productive enough for me to buy into that freakishness. And so I'm not exactly sure what he is. I don't know that he's a first-round pick in this draft. I can't figure out what to make of Shamar Stewart.
Yeah, he's all over the place. Some people have him in the top 50. I'm going to have a tough time getting him in my top 32 just because of what you said. I don't. Again, my eyes don't see it, and it's not that he can't become something. Okay, look, it's well documented. We've talked about Oweh for years, and this was my problem with Oweh. My eyes told me that this guy was an effort guy, but he never did it. He wasn't productive. I want a guy that's productive and not that's gonna. You can't keep on taking guys in the first round that take you 3 years to develop. And that was going to be my problem with Oweh. It wasn't that he wasn't an athletic freak. He was an athletic freak. But on the tape in college, your eyes told you, this guy's going to take some time. Turner. And when you turn on the tape, you don't notice Turner. You notice Nick and Skelton. And that's my problem. And that was my problem with Oweh. And so I'm not going to be a fan of a good NFL player. But if I could get Mike Green or Jared Ivey there instead, guys that when I turn on tape are productive and I always see them around the quarterback and every play you got to account for them, I'm going to lean in that direction first.
I get it. I do understand.
I'll tell you this much. There's a guy I really love in this draft.
Okay.
And of course, it's a guy I can't pronounce his name.
Of course not. Of course not. I mean, but that's to be fair, that's everyone.
Unless it's Smith, but to be fair, I probably botch that sometimes. Nick Amenwori out of South Carolina, the safety. I love this kid. I don't know where he's going to go in the first round, but this is a guy that I can play at safety and I can play at linebacker at some point. I can play a nickel and be really, really strong against the run still with this kid. And this would allow me to have another jack of all trades along with Kyle Hamilton. He really intrigues me. He's big. He's fast. He competes. He takes on blocks and gets off of them, wraps up. If anybody's listening and to anything I said here, find this kid's tape and watch him through the process. I really like him. 6'3", 227. Just a baller. Just a baller.
He is not a first-round pick, according to Daniel Jeremiah in his most recent.
I have him fringe first round, somewhere in the neighborhood of 28 to 30, 32.
All right. You're not really doing any content, though. You're just sort of hanging out and watching, correct?
I'm not. My days of doing content are over.
You said that 50 times.
No. I didn't do any content last year.
You did, but it was because we needed you to, didn't you?
Well, no. If you need, this. If you guys need me to do something, I'm always going to do it for you, and I'm always going to follow the draft because I think it's cool. I'm just not going to come up with the 7th rounder this year.
Yeah, right. We're out on that. All right, buddy. Love you. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you real soon, all right?
Okay, take care,
Thanks,
guys.
pal. That's KZ with us. Is looking ahead to the Combine this week's draft segment. When we come back in, we're going to talk some Terps, some college hoops. Coach Matt McCall is going to join us next as we continue along on a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
You're going to love February at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Sweeten your Valentine's Day with a chocolate bar February 13th and 14th. Pamper yourself and your partner with Valentine's Day spa discounts February 10th through 21st. Celebrate the Year of the Snake and win a Lunar New Year luxury brand collection February 28th. Plus, more ways to play, dine, and win all month. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry, protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
It was a big weekend over at UMBC as the MIAA titles were handed out in basketball. If you missed any of it, go right now to countysports.zone. That's countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. You can find out everything that you missed out on, results, scores, and look ahead to the state basketball tournament that's coming up as well at the public school level. Just a lot to be found. countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Into the second hour of today's show. And, of course, Maryland was off this weekend. They got a huge game on Wednesday night against Michigan State coming up down in College Park. Let's talk some Terps. Let's talk some hoops right now. This man, the former head coach at UMass as well as at Chattanooga. You see him on NBC and Peacock. You see him on Field of 68. You hear him on Sirius XM. And it feels like everywhere I turn, I'm hearing Coach Matt McCall, who is with us this morning here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Yeah, Glenn, appreciate you having me on. Before we even get started, I got to give a shout-out to a Baltimore legend, absolute legend, who's on staff at Maryland. Ricky Harris was on my staff at UMass. Ricky is the UMass's second all-time leading scorer, rising star in this business. So let's make sure we shout out Ricky Harris.
For those that
Baltimore
know,
legend.
Ricky Harris very involved with Derek Queen and helping to make sure that a Baltimore kid ended up at the University of Maryland. So I think a lot of people need to be recognizing the impact that Ricky Harris is having around here, and I appreciate you doing that, Coach. Coach, you know, there's so much that we want to talk about. Like, we're in a strange place with Maryland where, like, there are times when we watch, and there are moments where we say, this starting five can compete with anyone in the country and could beat almost anybody in the country. Then they go to the bench for a minute, and we're like, oh, no. Oh, no. But what is the upside? Like, for this, like, as good as this starting group is, if they continue to stay healthy and if they stay out of foul trouble, and we all know that you trim your bench anyway in the NCAA tournament, what is this group of 5 players capable of doing?
I mean, I think the sky's the limit. You know, I think foul trouble and injuries and fatigue would be the 3 things that would concern me about this Maryland team. Kind of a litmus test coming up here against Michigan State. Michigan State's flexing their muscles a little bit and saying, okay, hey, we're the best team in this league. We proved it. We beat Michigan. We're the best team. And so I'm excited for that game because I don't think we're talking about this Maryland team enough. And Kevin Willard, he gets the job. He comes in there. You know, last year on offense, they really, really struggled. And then they bring the right addition in the transfer portal. They bring in a player like Queen as a freshman who, if it wasn't for Cooper Flagg, we would probably be talking about this guy a heck of a lot more as not a national player of the year candidate, maybe not, but the best freshman in the entire country. So you got to credit, you know, Coach Willard and his staff. You know, the biggest concern is the depth factor.
Right.
Do they have enough depth to go on a deep run in March? You know, I go back to that, I think it was 2020, that Dayton team when I was still at UMass that, you know, Anthony Grant had his starting 5 logged a lot of minutes. And that was a team that was built to go on a run and get to a Final Four. So be interesting to see it all play out. But that matchup with Michigan State, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch because if they knock those boys off, now we maybe need to start talking about Maryland as the best team in the Big Ten.
So let me, because we've talked about the depth thing all season long, Coach, and I keep coming back to it feels to me like those scenarios that we talked about are really I can't imagine the minutes are like catching up to 19, 20-year-old kids as you get to March. It feels like it really is just a case of if you get into foul trouble, you're in trouble. If you lose somebody, you're in trouble. But if you can keep those 5 guys on the floor, I don't know. Does the depth then matter? Like, are you worried about legs, anything along those lines in the NCAA tournament?
Well, Coach Willard's won a lot more games than I have. I think it boils down to what are you doing in practice? And do you have a mature group that you don't have to go out there on the practice floor for 2 hours and try to pull something out of them?
Yeah.
You can go out there for 30 or 40 minutes and say, look, this is how we're guarding this action, you know, that Michigan State's going to run. This is how we're defending pick and rolls. You know, Jaden Akins, what are we doing with him when he's in the middle of the floor? Jace Richardson, how are we defending him when he's coming down in transition? What are we running on offense? Great. We've been out here for 40 minutes. Now we go in the film room and we're going to dissect everything. When you have a mature group, you don't have to practice at length at all. You can be in there for 40 minutes and then go in the film room for 40 minutes and then make sure everybody goes into the training room and gets the treatment so they have their legs. Because, look, the Big Ten tournament, you're playing back-to-back-to-back, right? There's no days off. You don't get that. The NCAA tournament, you get the week, you play, day off, play. So, you know, once they get to the big dance, it's one of those things like I think this starting 5 will be fine as long as they stay out of foul trouble.
No, I think that's exactly right. To your point, though, like it does concern that could catch up with you if you're trying to win a Big Ten tournament title. Like by the time you get to Sunday, you might be feeling like there's just nothing left legs-wise at this point.
Yeah, you know, it's a challenge, no question about it. But there's also this thing called adrenaline, which completely takes over. You know, I when I was coaching, you know, it happened to me every single year. Your body is running so much on adrenaline, and then the clock hit 0, and I would get really, really sick. I'd be in bed for like 2 or 3 days with some type of flu A, flu B, flu C, something, because your adrenaline, you're on such an emotional roller coaster, especially come March. So, look, this team, they're built to win. They have one of the best starting 5s in all of college basketball, in my opinion. I do think they can go on a deep run. Man, I'm excited for that Michigan State game.
Coach, Matt McCall is with us here on GCR. Coach, with that in mind, one of the things that we've seen it more frequently in road games, obviously, than we've seen it at home. But one of the things we've seen, I guess we did see it a little bit even Maryland's last time out against USC, where things just start to go wrong a little bit, where, like they built up a 20-point lead. All of a sudden you look up and it's down to single digits. And you're like, yo, what just happened here? And the thing that I've noticed is the closest thing they have to an alpha on this team is Derek Queen. And Derek Queen, because he's not a guard, it's not quite the same. They have been a team where on any night it might be Rodney Rice's turn to be the one making the big shots. We've seen more and more of it being Selton Miguel in the last few weeks. Jacoby Gillespie, by nature of being the point guard, clearly is the most likely. But I wonder if it hurts that there isn't one guy that when things start to go wrong, everybody turns to and says, all right, we know he's going to settle us down here and he's going to carry us through these difficult moments. Is there something about maybe, like, I think there's an advantage to having 5 guys that are capable of being in the alpha, but are you better off having one guy who says, no, I am the alpha in moments like that?
See, I think Julian Reese being the complete opposite of his sister, and I'm not meaning this in a negative way, he's just this calming force out there on the floor for me when I watch him play.
Mm-hmm.
He's not this flamboyant guy that makes it about himself and does anything like – he's opposite of his sister in terms of that, and I mean that as a compliment for Julian Reese. He's got this calming force to him where it's, you know what, I'm really good. I'm one of the best players in this league, if not the country, and he's been through it. He's stayed there even when it wasn't going well, which says a lot about him and his character to where we're in these timeouts, the game's on the line. He's been through some adversity. He's been hardened because of some of the ups and downs and the roller coasters that's gone on since his career started at Maryland. So I do think he can be that guy, especially in close games, because he never seems to really get rattled. He doesn't seem like a guy that when something goes wrong, he doesn't change who he is. When something's going really well, he doesn't change who he is. So I'm looking at a guy like Reese, and I think he can be the guy for this team, especially in tight games in March.
I think he's been a guy, his development and the way that he's, started making free throws again, and it has been a godsend for this basketball team, the player that Julian Reese has turned into. Coach, there's been a stigma related to the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament over the last decade or so. I know, obviously, Purdue made the run to the national championship game and maybe started to eradicate that a little bit. But I wonder what you make of it. It's funny you bring up that maybe Maryland can prove, between the Michigan State game, the Michigan game after that they're the best team in the Big Ten. And I wonder if what we're learning as we watch, like, Purdue lose to Indiana, is it that the Big Ten is so good, or is it really that the Big Ten is kind of jumbled with teams that are a little more mid, and maybe we're shaping up for it's going to be hard to see the Big Ten teams break through again in the NCAA tournament this year?
Oh, I really believe the Big Ten is the second best league in the country, and look, it's hard to win. It's hard to win on the road. There's no question about it. To see the environment that Michigan created the other night, and then for Michigan State to go in there and knock them off. Yeah. I mean, the way the game was going, when Danny Wolf throws the behind-the-back pass, you think that his Michigan team's getting ready to blow Michigan State out. But Tom Izzo and his team responded the right way. Wisconsin, I mean, it was almost like the basketball gods. They didn't want them to win that game against UCLA with some of the turnovers coming down the stretch. But we've seen what John Tonje's been able to do. That's a team that's built to go on a deep run, especially with a player like that who you can make a case for is going to win Big Ten Player of the Year. We've talked a lot about Maryland. I think the one-day prep trying to prepare for Michigan's front court is going to be difficult for a lot of teams. If you win that first-round matchup, you only have 1 day to prepare for a Danny Wolf, Flag Golden. That's going to be difficult. That's why I can see, Michigan going on a run in March. Yeah, I just think it's deep. These teams are battling every single night. It's the second best league in the country behind the SEC, which is having a historic year.
Obviously the thing that we care about most here in this area is Maryland basketball. The thing that we care about second most is hating Duke. It's just sort of the way that it works. I'm a little bit nervous that what we saw the other night is a reminder that, like, this is a Duke team that really has a chance to win a national championship this year.
They do. They do. Those rivalries back in the day, Duke, Maryland, J.J. Redick coming in there, Gary Williams. I mean, it didn't get much better than that. But this Duke team is for real. And you want to talk about a superstar in Cooper Flagg who handles himself the right way. The expectations that were placed on him coming through the door were absolutely astronomical. And has handled them with class, and he's also handled them really well when you think of, what's been put on his plate. So they're really good. John Shire, kind of the same thing. I would put John Shire, and Cooper Flagg in the same boat just in terms of, expectations. Him taking over for arguably the best college basketball coach of all time, that's a lot to deal with as a coach. So that team's for real. They could win it all. They could cut the nets down in San Antonio. It's going to be a fun NCAA tournament.
All right, last one for you, Coach. Although it won't stun me at all when I bring up Towson. You're like, actually, I've got lots of things I can tell you about them. I bring them up in this context. We're really excited here locally because Towson has a chance, if they win one of the next 2 games, to win the CAA regular season outright for the first time in school history. And they've won 13 of 14 games. But I wonder how much the weight of past failures might weigh on a team, on a coach. There's this thing where, like, Towson 8 times in the last decade has won double-digit games in the CAA, and yet they've never even reached the tournament final. How much there's a 34-year drought for the school for reaching the NCAA tournament. Are coaches, are players able to block all of that out entirely, or does that weight start to gather? Like, can that be a real problem for a team as you go into a place where otherwise you would look and say they have every right to feel like they should be the team, they should go and win the CAA this year?
Yeah, look, Pat Scarry's a great coach. I mean, when you think about it, he wins 4 games in the 2021 season, 2020-2021 season. And now he's getting ready, 25-9, 21-12, 20-14. He's getting ready to have another 20-win season. So 4 straight 20-win seasons. Winning 20 games in a season is difficult, especially at the CAA level. For him to be able to do that, this guy knows exactly what he's doing. And if there's this ghost, surrounding their program just in terms of not being able to win the CAA tournament, coach is going to be able to take care of that. And he'll address it. And the best way to do it is address it head on. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're the best team in this league. There's other really good teams. UNC Wilmington's good. College of Charleston is good. There's good teams in that league. Townsend's flexed their muscles a little bit here and have proven that they could be the best. Go out there and understand, and this is the biggest thing, when you get to the conference tournament, your players have to understand you're going to be in close games. We got to find a way to win them. We're going to be in close games. Even if you're the 1 seed in the conference tournament, your quarterfinal game, you will be in a close game. Embrace that. Embrace that at the under 8 timeout in the second half. Embrace that at the under 4 timeout in the second half. No, we're going to be in a close game, but hey, guys, look at what we've done up to this point in time of the year. We've won these games, and we're going to win tonight.
Coach, where are we seeing you? Where are we hearing you in the next couple of days, next week or so?
In about 45 minutes, I'll be on Channel 84 for 3 hours on Sirius XM. Make sure you tune into that. On Saturday, we'll be headed back up to Connecticut. We've got an A-10 game. We've got a Big East game. We've got a Big Ten game. We got a lot going on this weekend. So NBC and Peacock, tune in. But appreciate you guys having me on.
I really appreciate you taking the time. Coach Matt McCall, give him a follow. Thank you for doing this, Coach. Really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Coach Matt McCall with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time for us. And, yeah, Wednesday night. I mean, I talked about going, obviously, on Thursday. Being in College Park on Wednesday night, absolute electric city. But be prepared to pay a little bit more for that than you would be to be at the Towson game on Thursday night. From an economic standpoint, bang for the buck, maybe Thursday's the priority. But don't get me wrong. Gonna be electric in College Park on Wednesday night for Maryland, Michigan State. Maryland tries to, again, given their depth issue and given the difficulty of playing back-to-back days, getting a top 4 seed and not having to play until Friday, the Big Ten tournament, particularly valuable for Maryland. Not saying it's not valuable for other teams, but particularly valuable for Maryland, given their lack of depth, something that should be a dramatic priority for the Terps to try to get that top 4 seed. All right, we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. Today's show also brought to you by the print issue of PressBox, which is available for free right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. On the cover, Orioles owner David Rubenstein, Baltimore native. He sat down with Stan and I for a lengthy Q&A about him, about his first year, what he learned, about what are the priorities moving forward on and off the field. You can find all of that right now over at your neighborhood Royal Farms. Pick up that issue for free or read it all online. PressBoxOnline.com. Also a lot of college lacrosse, meeting players from programs around the state. Inside this issue, good profile of Tyler O'Neill in there as well. So again, go get that print issue today of PressBox. John wants me to know that Roberta Flack passed away. That's very sad. I love Roberta Flack. Of course, strumming. I'm not going to do my Roberta Flack, but yeah, that is sad. Thank you for letting me know, John. I'm sorry to hear that. 88, is that what he said? 88 years old. Roberta Flack passes away. I honest to God, I should have filtered that. Here's the thing. My computer's going to die, so I've just been closing the computer so I can open it up a few times. And I opened it up, and it was the first thing I saw. And I didn't filter it and go check it or anything like that. My apologies. I probably should have done those things, but, that's just the way that it works. The Rams apparently allowing Matt Stafford and his team to poke around, see what the market is for him. Everybody seems confident that Matt Stafford's going to end up a New York Giant. It just seems like it's like the worst kept secret in football is that Matt Stafford is going to be a New York Giant. And we always get to this point of the year and start playing like quarterback carousel, like where's this guy going to go, where's this guy going to go.
You think it's that done a deal?
I'm not saying that at all. I have no idea. It's just the smoke of Matt Stafford to the Giants won't go away. And then what's followed that up is, and I can't remember, somebody was banging the drum this week, that the follow-up to Matt Stafford to the Giants is Aaron Rodgers to the Rams. And I don't get that. If you don't want Matt Stafford, why do you want Aaron Rodgers?
Well, because
what is Aaron Rodgers doing for you that Matt Stafford isn't?
Is it because the report? And actually, maybe I guess this was reported like today. Oh, apparently, Peter Schrager said today that he wants $50 million on this season. Matt Stafford.
Yeah, and if Aaron Rodgers is at the place where he's just like
yeah, I'll take 40 or whatever.
I don't know, maybe, but like
such a discount.
You really want to pay $40 million for Aaron Rodgers right now? If you want to argue that, what is there a team that if you get a compromised version of Aaron Rodgers, and a lot of people are doing the bit where they're like, hey, if you look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers, they weren't that bad last year. They weren't that bad, but he's not offering anything. Like, part of what made Aaron Rodgers magical is in the era before we had the Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes type, Aaron Rodgers was the guy that we were like, wow, this guy's different than anything we've ever seen before. Like, his ability to get out of trouble. Like, you're not getting that anymore. It is a compromised version of Aaron Rodgers, who you can say was productive, but you acknowledge some of that being they just kept throwing the ball a bit in New York last year because they were losing an awful lot of games. If you were trying to come up with a scenario by which a compromised version of Aaron Rodgers could be effective enough to be competitive, then you could make an argument for the Rams being that location. Strong run game with Kyren Williams. We don't know what's going to happen with Cooper Kupp. Probably not going to be a Ram, but Puka Nacua ain't bad. Like, if you start with that as your foundation, it's not a bad place to start. Clearly, if you had Nakua and Kupp, which it seems like they never have. Like
They did against the Ravens.
I mean, they once in a while they've had those two guys together. If somehow you had both, I don't know, because I don't really know how I feel about Cooper Kupp at this point, but I think he's still I don't know why they just stopped throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp last year, but they just stopped throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp. But like even if it's just Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, and then a defense that was outstanding, obviously led by Jared Verse, who was a revelation, you could make an argument for if we can just get competence from Aaron Rodgers, then that might be good enough to be competitive. Is it good enough to win a Super Bowl? Not a chance in hell. No freaking way. But to be competitive, sure. And if in their world, that's not really different than what we'd be getting from Matt Stafford, so if we can save $10 million in the process, fine. If the Rams' real point is we got to identify a quarterback moving forward, we have to be in the quarterback. Like maybe we're the team that's using our second draft pick on a quarterback this year. Or maybe they're the team that's taking a shot on Jackson Dart. Throwing
a dart at Dart.
Yeah, there you go. Nailed it. If that's your thought process is let's bring Aaron Rodgers in for a year while we try to figure out if we can draft a young quarterback that can be our quarterback for the future. Okay. It's just so toxic, man. Like, you can tell me all you want about, like, Jets players said they liked him. I'm sure there were plenty that did. But for an organization, it's just so
distracting.
It's beyond distracting. It's crushing. Because guys can be distractions, but, like, whatever. He's entertaining. It's just, every time that Aaron Rodgers is talking, you're like, God, man, stop.
Sometimes he's got something good to say.
When?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Giants, I guess.
It makes sense because if you're the Giants and you're saying we can't get a quarterback,
but they just got out. They just got rid of their $40 million quarterback,
and how did it work out for them?
Well, it didn't work out for them,
Yeah.
but now I don't know. It
But
feels like they have
to the
freedom to start over, and I feel like
I get that, but they're in hell.
Yeah.
Unless one of these other teams,
unless Dable and Joe Shane, know that this is the last, this is the end of the line, and they need to.
Well, I think it's a little bit that, but I would go a step beyond that. Unless they know that the Titans or Browns are not drafting a quarterback, they're boned. You have the third pick in a 2-quarterback draft. So what are you doing? If your point is, you'd say to that group, hey, you're around for a long time. Slow your roll. We accept that we might suck again this year, but then we can draft a quarterback next year. But what franchises are thinking like that?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you that I think Matt Stafford solves all of their problems, but I certainly think that they can be competitive.
They're definitely not, 4-13. They're
no.
9-8 probably.
They've got a wide receiver. They've got a better defense than people realize they do. Like you start to remember,
they've got a strong
front. Yes, yeah. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. Like you start saying, "Oh right."
And if those guys are able to start playing with like a lead or at least in a tie game,
Sexy Dexy, right. The whole thing. Like they've got more up front. Ojulari's a free agent, right?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right. Yeah, because that's why we wanted the Ravens to.
There's more up front than you realize there is. You can start to paint a picture where, maybe they're not that bad. Now, they're in a division that suddenly looks a lot tougher. They've been the doormat.
Mm-hmm.
To go from the doormat to being able to compete. I don't know that I can argue that you're definitely more competitive with Matt Stafford. Are you winning a Super Bowl? No, but that's the problem with all of the musical chairs at the quarterback this year is that none of the guys that are available are guys that are available for a reason. It doesn't work this way where you find somebody else's cast off at quarterback and go win the Super Bowl with them. Like the last time that happened was Peyton Manning, and that was because you were able to still win a Super Bowl without your quarterback having to be good. The irony is Peyton Manning, of course, was very good when he got to Denver and didn't win a Super Bowl. Then he stunk and won a Super Bowl. It's just
that's how it works.
It's a very weird time. And then, of course, there was the Eagles team and the sort of the weirdness of Nick Foles being the one that ultimately won the Super Bowl. I don't know how to talk about that team. But that's just not the way that you go about – it's weird, right? Like, it happened, but – and it did happen with a cast-off quarterback, but it was a backup quarterback. It's just a strange anomaly as we look at the history of football. You're not winning the Super Bowl with any of these guys. There's no quarterback on the open. You're not winning a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold or with
is Matt Stafford the one? I don't know.
He's the closest.
I guess because they're in the NFC, so that gives them a slight edge. But the problem is then they're still in the same division as you were just saying with the other top two quarterbacks.
The top two quarterbacks in that conference at the moment. Yes, undisputably. To the point, like, L.A. was the place to be because all of a sudden the NFC West kind of got mid.
Almost bad,
really. But, I mean, like, San Francisco's mid.
Right.
Seattle's still probably closer to mid than – and Arizona this year was closer to mid than they were back.
Right.
It was a weird year where they were all just mid. So be the best of the mid, and they were, and that put them in position where they –
had a chance to go to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I mean, they played fairly well against Philadelphia. Like, it's kind of revisionist history trying to make it seem like they had a
right.
They were, like Philadelphia was definitely better than Los Angeles, but they were competitive and they had a chance. I can give them that much. None of these guys. We're all obsessed with the quarterback situation in each city, but there's no good answer for any of these teams.
So does Cleveland or Pittsburgh make more sense then? Because those are
for Stafford.
Yeah, apparently Albert Breer had a report as well this morning, and the four teams that showed the most interest were New York, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Vegas.
Well, they're the teams that need quarterbacks, so that kind of makes like that. That's the part that makes sense. I guess the Jets would have to be in that conversation too. They need a quarterback. Like only the teams that need quarterbacks can be in. So you just listed four teams that need quarterbacks, so that kind of makes sense.
Can't draft one, yeah.
Well, Cleveland could.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Cleveland absolutely can draft a quarterback. So that's kind of weird. I don't know how to describe what's going on in Cleveland. I don't get it. Maybe I don't understand the salary cap, or they just think they're going to get so much flexibility in Myles Garrett. My gut would tell me you cannot take on another quarterback salary. There's just no way. You can't. You don't have any money now if you take on another quarterback salary.
But they got a quarterback.
What's that?
They'd have a quarterback.
There's something to be said for that.
Presumably.
And if that's their world, we're like, well, if we get Stafford, then we can draft Abdul Carr. It just sounds like the height of incompetence in Cleveland. Like the height, man. If you're trading Myles Garrett, get some picks, God bless you, you need to have a quarterback. And the only way you're going to get it is drafting one. Now, if they are just so low on these two quarterbacks that they have to sign up for, if the truth is they hate Ward and Sanders, it doesn't matter, or they really hate one of them and they know the other one's going number one, so it doesn't matter, then they just need to sign up to suck. Like, sign up for, we got to be all in. Like, we have to find an actual quarterback answer. Because trying to project that you're getting over the hump with Matt Stafford is just, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. And not being able to spend money on anything else because two quarterbacks are sucking up your entire cap. Pittsburgh is interesting because they have a good roster, but it's good without being maybe exceptional. We don't know what they're doing at running back.
Yeah.
George Pickens.
They're taking Genty. We know that.
Probably. George Pickens obviously is a great starting point, but the rest of their pass catching is kind of
that's probably being generous. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, Freiermuth is a solid tight end without being but he's solid. Like, you take him.
But yeah, he's not striking fear into you like an Andrews Prime Andrews, a Kittle.
Yeah, right. Not at all. I mean, they're very much the next tier of guys. So yeah, if you want to say if you took away Pickens, then it's an utterly nondescript group of guys, fine. But like, Pickens exists, so it becomes a mid-range group of guys, and obviously there's a lot of good defensive players.
And whoever they draft in the second round is going to be good.
Probably true. So. They're very good at that. I think that Pittsburgh, like if you're Matt Stafford, and those are your options, which of those would you? Then yeah, Pittsburgh would be the answer. Of that group of teams, I'd prefer to be in Pittsburgh. Now, we also acknowledge that Matt Stafford has played the majority of his career indoors. I mean,
still was in the NFC North, though.
Yeah, he had to play in Green Bay and Chicago, and that's fair. Like, those are certainly rigid climates. I've never gone back to do the math to see if, like, he played. How did he play in those outdoor games? Is there a correlation where, like, Matt Stafford's really good in climate controlled and really not good? Because if that's the case, then that would make you think more about, well, frankly, any of these locations other than Las Vegas. But Las Vegas is Las Vegas the least desirable of those four because they just have nothing?
Yeah, and
they got Brock
and
Bowers.
you're in the division with
Mahomes.
Yeah, they do have Brock Bowers. And
I don't want to.
Pete Carroll seems like a cool cat.
Yeah, he seems cool.
Stafford's 3-8 at Green Bay in his career.
No, I mean, we got to be fair. Those are bad Detroit teams, right? Like, those weren't.
He averages 300 yards a game in Green Bay.
Probably just having to throw a lot.
Yeah, 61% completion percentage. And then
but, like, does he have, like, outrageous interception numbers, outdoors to indoors, anything like that?
His interception touchdown. It is a 24-7 touchdown interception.
It's not, it's nothing that says that he's particularly awful outdoors. Like, he's also older.
He's
like
5-7 against the Bears in Chicago.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of that. Again, it's hard to judge those Detroit teams,
right?
Because those teams weren't very good. It's tough for me to make a strong statement about.
He had a 16 to 15 touchdown interception rate in Chicago.
You can't pull up a split that just shows outdoor to indoor.
I mean, I guess I could. I just wanted to.
Although again, even not all those games are created equal. Because right. But I would like a, how like we always refer to the Dolphins cold number. I would love to have like a cold stat for Matt Stafford to figure out if that would make sense.
Pro football.
I would probably rank those scenarios 1 Pittsburgh, 2 if I'm Stafford.
Giants.
I think
just
2
to be
Giants.
In the NFC.
3.
You got me like neighbors like.
God damn, man. Maybe I'll talk myself into Brock Bowers, right? Like, I want to say Cleveland's 3rd, but, like, you can't go get any more players. The Raiders at least have cap space. So if you have Brock Bowers and cap space, I could maybe talk myself into Raiders 3. Plus, you're indoors, right? Like, I could talk myself into being Raiders 3, Cleveland 4. Like, you're just not going to have any players once you get to Cleveland. Like, they can't. That's all of the cap. So, yeah, I think I would have to go. Is there an argument the Raiders are above the Giants on that?
I mean, there's probably
they don't have Malik Neighbors.
The 2 through 4 is probably completely arguable. Like
Pittsburgh's the best spot.
Yeah. Just because it's a good team, it's a good franchise. Like
right, like they tend to draft well. There's a likelihood they're going to put different good things around you.
They went 9-8 with
right with Mitchell Trubisky and with Duck Hodges.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. God, this is what we have in football is Matt Stafford watch. Like, this is what all of these quarterbacks that we don't think are good enough. Where's Russell Wilson going to be? Where's Aaron Rodgers going to be? Does it matter? Not really. Like, are they making anybody a Super Bowl contender? Probably not. Are we invested in where they're going to be? Yes. Dying to know where Sam Darnold's going to play quarterback. Imagine going back a year ago and telling yourself that you'd be dying to figure out where Sam Darnold would be playing next year. I didn't realize it was 11:36. What the hell just happened there? What did you just do?
I'm just trying to find. We're talking about Matt Stafford.
I don't have a. I can't. I can't
that's
open
right,
my computer,
okay,
so I don't know.
Sorry. Well, I was trying to figure out.
I was about to go to break.
Let's see. Stafford has a bad record in bad weather. I don't know what they're using as bad weather. This is from Tucker Bagley from NFL.com. Or I don't. Where's Tucker Bagley from?
I don't know. I don't know anything about Tucker Bagley.
1-8 in bad weather with a 54% completion completion percentage, 14-11. But I don't know what his arbitrary cutoff is for. They're saying low. They're saying under 40, I guess. Okay.
That seems like bad weather. Yeah, it doesn't seem great if you're gonna be playing in Pittsburgh.
But yeah, 1-8 with a. That's his record.
I'm starting to think Matt Stafford of the Raiders makes an awful lot of sense, man. I'm starting to convince myself of that.
Just
the answer is, stay in a dome. Go get Brock Bowers. You got some cap space. Maybe see if you can't get something else. You still have Max Crosby on the other side. I'm starting to convince myself that that's the answer for Matt Stafford, is that you want to try to figure out a way to get to Vegas. And look, Pete Carroll, is certainly competent. There you go. That's what I got for you today. Today's show also brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. Stan and Luke will be back in action today talking about the first few games of spring training. You can check that out, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video is where you can check out all of Stan's shows. And I feel like he told me he had another show coming this week, but I have already forgotten what it was, so I can't share it with you. You're saying take a break. All right, we'll take a break, and then I think Jeremy Conn joins us. All right, Glenn Clark Radio.
Treat yourself and take Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas's 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Glenn Clark and I sit down for a Q&A with Orioles owner David Rubenstein, discussing what he learned from his first year as owner, his goals both on and off the field, his involvement in baseball decisions. Also inside, Brooks DeRose profiles new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, and we meet college lacrosse players from around the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farms stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Are we getting stiff-armed? Are we getting Heisman by Jeremy Conn?
No,
I
don't think so. He had something else pop up, or he had something else this morning that was supposed to be done by.
Who does he think he is?
Well, I can tell him that actually we don't want to talk to you.
That's what I would say. Is he can go F himself. This guy, he still hasn't done the Mayo Dogs yet. By the way, have you started reaching out to try to figure out who can come to a
massage?
Well, I don't.
That's what was on the mind, right?
Oh boy.
For Brazilians?
Yeah. Unrelated.
Yeah.
God.
Just a
yikes.
Just a
yikes. Apparently, the NFL was in town investigating this weekend, so I don't know.
No is the answer, but yeah, I gotta
make a priority out of that. Everything else, because we got to get that lined up. How do we do it? Right? Like, how do we make that happen? I'm worried that the answer is going to be we have to go there, like that they're not going to be able to come do it during the show. I say I'm worried. I would really like it if what they said was we can't do it at all.
It's just a personal.
There's
thing.
no more Brazil. Yeah. There's no more Brazilians. They don't exist any longer.
Brazilians are gone.
That's what I'd be rooting for. But I'm worried that like the practicality of trying to do this is is I don't know. We'll talk about it. I also, again, have to be able to be employed after this. However we do it, we got to be very careful about.
Do you have to?
Yeah, I have to be employable.
Maybe you should have thought about that before you
I understand.
picked every football game.
Trust me,
wrong.
I understand. Well, not every football game, but enough.
Felt like it.
I still have to be employable when this is over. So we just have to figure out how we're going about
Barely
doing
employable now.
I agree with that. That's what everybody else has said too, Griffin. Really weird. I'm like, hi, I'm Glenn Clark. And they're like, yeah, we know. And I was like, well, you don't want to bring me onto your team? And they're like, well, let's see if everybody gets malaria. Okay. I guess we could do that. Did somebody just walk in the front door?
The door definitely opened.
I was like, so, here's
else.
another phenomenon that's occurred here. Oftentimes, Leah, who runs our office, is our office manager. Leah, when she leaves for the day, always locks the door. And I swear to God, for however long we've been here and she was doing that, I thought it was because she was, afraid that I would forget to lock the door.
Okay.
And I always want to be like, Leah, I'll lock the door. Like when John, for example, when it's John and I here he leaves, he doesn't lock the door, so I just lock it myself, right? Like no problem, but do it all the time. It wasn't until last week that I got the actual answer.
Oh, that
because she was telling you, one day, you
should lock it.
Need to lock the door when you leave, and I was like, does she trust Griffin more than she trusts me? That's
I wouldn't blame.
strange.
I mean, she probably does.
Yeah, is that? So where I am, and when the day is over, I tend to keep working from the same spot, right? Like I'm a creature of comfort. This is where I'm comfortable with.
And we also realize that the sun also points directly at this spot.
Directly.
Like after
if you ever
2:30?
see us air a recorded interview.
Yeah.
Where I'm sitting in Griffin's seat because he had to leave for the day, and so I'm over there. Like, if I don't remember to close the blinds, it is sometimes the video is unwatchable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the way that works. Sometimes it's actually still somehow bad over here. Like, I have had to close these blinds. There's been times where
once we get to the summer or something, and the sun's
if you come in here a morning after the blinds are closed, then I might have gone over there to record something or something
usually
like
what
that.
I assume.
Yeah, then I might have gone over to do. It's obnoxious. But the point is, I just stay here in this seat for the most part for the rest of the day, unless somebody else is coming in. There are other podcasts that get recorded here. There are other things that happen. So for the most part, I stay in this seat. The front door is parallel to me.
Yeah.
2 rooms over.
You can't see it whatsoever.
It's a blind spot for me. I would have no idea if somebody was coming in the front door. So should there be a mass shooter, I know that's
coming here.
Not something we should be joking about, obviously, but should something like that occur, I would have no idea. Like somebody would just walk in, no clue. So Leah, ever the thinker, has been worried about me. This is why she locks the door every time she leaves, is because I would not know that someone was coming in. I would have no knowledge of it. So every time she leaves, she locks the door. And in that moment, when I heard the door, I realized, I'm sitting, here's the door open, and I'm like, what's going on? I think she might have actually, made me more paranoid by informing me of why it is
that we're trying to protect you.
Yeah, right? I'm like, do I need that protection? Is there something I don't know? I feel like Ryan Reynolds, right? Like, why? What do you know? Or what have you heard? Yeah, right.
What did you hear?
Like, that's the way that I feel. Did you hear the Sabres broadcast from this weekend?
Oh my gosh.
It's going to have a naughty word. On the radio yesterday, I wasn't able to share the naughty word. So the Buffalo Sabres, who were they playing? I don't remember who they were playing. It was
Rangers.
It was a 4-0 game.
Big New York State matchup.
It was on MSG Network, in fact. It was a 4-0 game in the first period. When did there start being so many goals in hockey, by the way? It's crazy.
I don't know. Well, because the Caps scored 7 and 8 respectively this weekend.
They're like lacrosse games now. The old Towson lacrosse, pre-shot clock Towson lacrosse, there's way more goals scored in hockey than there were then. So, 4-0 game in the first period. and something happens, and it leads to this response. Do you have it? Was that Jeremy?
Yeah, that is Jeremy. I need to restart this computer. That's why I don't.
Well, we
have it
can't
just yet.
restart.
Well, I
that
know, but
computer.
I'm saying.
Do we not restart? This is how things are going these days. This is how. Hang on. I might actually just have. I might. You can't. If I send it to you on Twitter, will that work?
I have the video like saved on my Twitter. It's just the computer's slow today. Is the problem, which may have been potentially one of the reasons we got the slow start as well.
I hate it here.
All we need is the audio, right?
Well, I mean, I guess it's nice if we could. Sort of the point of doing a visual medium, is that we can share visuals. You know what I mean? Like, I know people love looking at me, and I don't blame them. Hello, but like, I just figure with a visual medium we could do that. But one day,
it's very slow today. This is
one day. One day we'll all be free.
It was perfectly fine on the last time I used it.
Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Hello?
You there? Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. No, I got my car. My damn Bluetooth kicked in, and I'm like,
yeah,
what?
I do.
What
I hate
happened?
that. I hate that. Right? Like right in that moment. This is always the way that it goes. What's up,
I
pal?
had everything set up. I made sure the volume was turned in on my radio, so you don't come in and I'm blaring something stupid like Hanson or something.
Well, what
But,
would be stupid about that? What would
No,
be? You're talking to a man who I'm pretty sure could name a second Hanson song.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, Where's the Love? I remember 2 Hanson songs. I feel like, did we semi-cancel Hanson for some? Why do I feel like that there was a Hanson problem a couple years ago?
I don't know, but the drummer, when she grew up, was
I know,
cute.
she looked great, didn't she? She just looked. Actually, have you watched any of Pop Culture Jeopardy?
Yes, it's funny you say that because like I turned it on and watched like 10 to 12 episodes of it because I thought it was interesting. In the first one, where like they come back from the commercial break in the second round, it's like, well, you asked the last question, and then immediately in the next episode, it's like, oh, whoever has the lowest points.
Right.
That's,
Yeah, correct.
the first
They
category.
did change that.
Yeah.
There's a few things that bother me about Pop Culture Jeopardy. One of which, for those that watch Jeopardy all the time, is you only have to give last names. Now,
yes, that pissed me off the other night too.
In certain situations, I've always understood, like based on the way the question was asked, you might need to give a full name. But in Pop Culture Jeopardy, randomly, the answer will be like Vanessa Williams, and somebody will say Williams. They'll be like, well, can you be more specific? And like, okay, Williams is a fairly common name. Like, maybe I can understand that. But I swear to God, one of them was like Springsteen. Like, the answer was like Springsteen. They're like, can you be more specific? I'm like, are you serious? Can you be more? The rule is that you only have to give last name.
The other thing I was surprised at with Pop Culture Jeopardy is like how many people just guess at an answer that they don't know. It's like you do realize you're going to lose points if you don't know it. You're just guessing.
Okay. So the round, the thing they've introduced in Pop Culture Jeopardy, because there's three teams. It's not 3 individuals. It's 3 teams of 3 people. They've introduced it's like a daily double, but they call it a triple play. And it's one where there are 3 answers. And so the first person that buzzes
you can't tell your teammates the answers during that.
You have to go 1, 2,
Yeah.
3. Each one of your team, the people on your team, has to get one of the 3 answers. And so typically somebody's going to buzz in, and they're going to give a first answer, then their teammates are going to be like, yeah, dude, I got nothing. But, like, in the end, it's a wash. As long as you got the first one, you didn't lose any money, right? Like, you get the money for the first one. The second person doesn't get it. You lose the money you just got, whatever, no big deal. But very rarely in Pop Culture Jeopardy have I seen a triple play where no one buzzed in to even attempt to guess one answer. And one of them was, can you name the 3 brothers that were in Hanson? And boy, I don't know if you haven't gotten to this episode yet, but I'll put it to you, because boy was I ashamed to know that I would have been capable. You can't, because you can't give all 3 answers, but I definitely knew all 3. You don't know any of them?
Can I say, could we do the last name thing?
Hanson, right?
But the one that got me though was the triple play, where I'm thinking in my mind, like if my teammates knew it, essentially they gave you a clue that the answer was Salt and Pepper, right? Name the 3 members of their band.
Yeah, correct.
And I'm going, if I'm there, do I say Spinderella
Right,
first
because you want
I'm the one that knows that?
Exactly
Or would they
right.
pick up on it,
Exactly
you know?
right. You want to make sure you get the difficult one out of the way. And you do see sometimes like the wheels spinning of what's the hardest one. I want to make sure I say that one so that there's an easier one for my teammate. Zach, Taylor, and Isaac, of course, the Hanson brothers. By the way, I also had a mortal enemy. I was so I spent way too much time with Pop Culture Jeopardy. I don't remember the name of the team, but there was a guy who was entirely too enthusiastic in his responses, and he was killing it. Like, he was unbelievable. He got everything, and it made my blood boil because he would answer, and he'd be like, I like that movie. Or he'd be like, that's something that I know a lot about. Like, he would just always have to say something afterwards, and it made me want to punch him in his stupid face. Like, I hate you.
The one that got me was I wasn't angry or anything, but it was interesting. Is the guy that was on actual Jeopardy?
Oh yeah,
and like he knew so much, and like a lot of times we sit here and go, okay, the nerds or the guys that know so much usually don't know pop culture or sports.
Yep.
So it's almost like you get these categories, and this dude was just rattling everything off, and I'm going, well, damn, what are you supposed to do? But I do think I would do extremely well on that show because I do know a lot of the answers.
Have you seen the thing with the Sabres announcer from this weekend yet?
Not yet.
Oh God, man! You should probably see the. So this happened. We were trying to set this up before you came on, but Griffin was struggling with the video. This is from MSG Network. Rob Ray is the color analyst for Sabres games, but he does the thing that now happens all the time in hockey now, where like the color analyst for whatever reason is broadcasting from the bench. Like where they used to put a sideline reporter, that's now just where the color analyst is. So he's right next to the Sabres bench, and this happens. Language alert if you've got kids. This is how it sounded on the MSG
Oh, is this
Network.
the guy that gets hit?
There, go ahead,
Okay.
Griffin.
Puck is dropped, and it's 4-0. Oh, fuck! Here in the opening period, and Razor just took another one. And that was a rocket.
Yeah.
Doctors checking Razor
Now,
out very quickly. That was
this
close
guy,
to the
Rob
eye.
Ray,
The puck
turns
is
around
dropped,
and
and it's
like,
4-0.
I mean, he
Fuck! Here in the opening period, and Razor just took another one.
he gets hit smack in the face with the puck, to the point where between periods he needs stitches. The next thing they show is they cut to him at the bench, and he gives the thumbs up signal. And he's just like, play on, let's go. I'm like, these dudes are animals, man. Like,
dude, hockey players are built.
They're not like other people, bro. He's just like,
hit
on.
Hit the Kendrick Lamar because there is no one quite like them.
No.
I mean, so I did know this story, but I knew that a guy got hit in the face and there was a loud F-bomb.
Oh, my God.
But I didn't know because of the announcers and all that stuff. But yeah. It's crazy.
Dude, he's just like, go ahead. And then they cut back to him at like the start of the second period. They're like, Razor, how you doing? And they're like, I'm all right. And he's like, no worse for wear. And he's like, well, no, the thing that looks like a golf ball on my face, definitely not supposed to be like that.
Oh, man.
But
it's like some of that stuff is brutal when you look at those injuries, man.
Oh, God, dude. But this guy just keeps going. Like, he just keeps working the game. He doesn't say, like, gonna need somebody else to fill in for me the rest of the game, which is what the rest of us would do as human beings.
Well, I mean, to be fair, was he playing on a back-to-back? Because he probably just played the front end of the back-to-back. Because that's what they would do in the NBA. Is like, you don't.
No doubt, he played. Why can't he go tonight? Because he played a basketball game yesterday. He's not
Did you guys
available.
see he played yesterday? Duh. Like, I mean, there's so much going on with sports now, and I'm glad we talked about pop culture for a good portion of time.
Oh no, because I've got other.
Just so
we have other things to talk about. We're gonna get to the important topics today, Jeremy. We're gonna get to first is, can Hooters be saved? Because
Did you see Devin Booker trying to do his part?
Devin Booker is beside himself. He's losing his mind. Can Hooters be saved, or is it time to acknowledge it's over?
I don't, like, again, did you like Hooters, or did you think they were a little bit overrated?
Hooters was obviously overrated, but I liked, when I say
I
that,
liked their wings. I did.
I also remember being 16 and like what a big deal it was for a 16-year-old boy to be like, we're going to Hooters tonight. Like,
Did you ever say I'll have the chicken breast?
Yeah, I don't think I ever did that bit. But I tell you what was I'll give you one that was wild. When I was a senior in high school, I went with my friends on a Friday night. This is before the one in Towson existed, so we went to the one downtown. The next day, because that was going to be going into my freshman year at UMBC. The next day, I had to take like an exam or a test of some sort. I don't even know what this was in hindsight. Like, I was already in; they had already accepted me, but I had to go to UMBC for some sort of test. And the girl who was our server at Hooters the night before was also there that day at UMBC going into her freshman year. And we ended up, I don't want to say we dated. We didn't, but we talked for a while. Like, that continued. It was a very sweet story. But
can I tell you my Hooters story?
Please, by all means.
And I'm going to try to,
sanitize
I'm trying to say the right things and not throw anybody under the bus.
Right.
Because I'll give you, I was out in Arizona for the Super Bowl when the Patriots were 18-0 and they lost.
And I left the game at halftime and will forever not be able to say that I witnessed the David Tyree thing.
Did you really?
I left the game.
I didn't know that.
I think this might have been the first time you and I ever met. Was that Super Bowl, because I was still working in Arizona at the time. I remember you were there.
I told Nestor if he didn't get out of my face, I was going to drop him in front of everybody on Radio Row.
You were there with Anita. And I remember we made a joke about how you had kind of replaced me at 105.7.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of the first time we knew of each other.
Yes,
it was kind of the first
correct.
time we chatted.
Yeah,
I like this guy.
Yep.
At least that's what I thought you said about me.
No, I hated you. As you know, I hated you.
So,
I hated your
so
guts.
this Hooters story, this is insane. So we go to me and another guy that worked at the station, which I'm not going to say his name, but you might be able to figure it out.
I've been to Hooters with him.
Yeah, we worked Radio Row and everything that week, and we were probably the the poorest people in our group.
Right.
We went out to dinner with John Ogden, and then that's when his agent goes, "Hey, can we split this 14 ways?" And I'm like, "Nope, I had chicken and shrimp.
Yeah.
He had lobster rolls and everything. No." And then, of course, they split it 18 ways or 14 ways, whatever it was.
No.
But so Zeno and I were trying to protect our money, so we went to Hooters every day for lunch. And so the second time we go in, the girls recognize us from the day before, and we start chatting with them. Zeno hits up one, and I guess they exchanged numbers. So the girls came out and met us while we were out. Now, I mean, people don't have to believe this about me. My wife and I had just started. I don't remember if we were just married or just we were dating, but I don't cheat on anybody. I can't. I don't have it in me.
Good for you.
I'm not saying that I just can't.
So what exactly do you call it when you and I get together? What do you?
Well, that's fun. I mean, that's none of their business. But no. So one of the girls had, what's the right way to put it? She had a cleft palate. She was really beautiful, but I was going to say hair lip, but I think that's insensitive. But so you could see she had the surgery and had the line there, but she's beautiful. And Zeno was flirting with the other girl, who eventually she's didn't go back with him, and this other girl wants to come back and hang out with us. And Zeno looks at me and goes, "Are you going to do something?" I'm like, "No, man," because she was talking to me the whole night. So I just said his name too. Damn it!
Yeah, 3 times, by the way. After, I mean, for what it's worth.
Staying with us are Mike Flynn and Spencer Falau of the Ravens.
Yeah.
And so I watched Braveheart every night that week going to bed, and that's all we did was quote it after we were drunk going out. Well, I was asked, "You're not going to go out and do anything with this girl?" So apparently, one of the guys in our group went out and ended up hooking up with her in the car.
Oh, that's sweet.
To which the 2 Ravens players watched out the window, and I'm sitting back going, Am I a schmuck? What just happened here? Because I can't be mad at the guy. Hey, you.
No, yeah, I wasn't right. I was never
going
to hook up with you. 100%. 100%.
But I didn't know what was going on because I was drunk watching Braveheart.
There was a time when I was doing the show with Ed years ago where we once a month we did a "Are You Smarter Than a Hooters Girl" segment, and I found out that another guy that I later worked with in radio, who I don't think you know. We were Eskimo brothers because of one of the Hooters girls that came in. I was like, hell yeah, man. We got a good high five out of it.
Are you Eskimo brothers? Is anybody famous that you know of?
That I know of? I mean, Ed. Well,
Ed's Eskimo brothers
with everyone.
McGahee, which is an interesting one. So.
Wait a second. Hang on. I got to do the math on if I know that one. Text me that. Text me that.
I don't remember her name. I'll have to ask Ed, but he'll tell me when he gets back.
Text me that one. Am I Eskimo Brothers with someone famous? I might be. I don't want to put it out there. I don't want to say who it is because it's someone I love. But
you and Bill Clinton.
Yeah,
that Monica Lewinsky, man, she sure is fun.
I'll text it to you. I'll text when I get the chance. Yeah, I think now that I think about it, I definitely am. I definitely am. But that's okay.
Me and Freddie Mercury are Eskimo.
Correct.
It's weird. It's a crazy story.
It's actually
that's awful.
Michael Sam. Yeah, it's Michael Sam and I are Eskimo brothers.
All I want to do is eat cake with him.
He's loving, man. He feeds it to me. It's sweet. Oh God. But so I have a lot of it's a weird. I felt this way about Playboy, right? When Playboy was changing, I was like, I understand why Playboy can't work anymore. There's just too much pornography available on the internet for anyone to read Playboy anymore. But I was really I remember saying this, I'm really bummed that my kids aren't gonna have a moment where they find my Playboy magazines. You know what I mean? It's just been such a part of life. We're so used to. It's a cultural touchstone. That while we all recognize, and you're saying that I didn't hate the food at Hooters by any stretch of the imagination. The food at Hooters was fun. It was never as good as Mark Messina wanted to make it out to be when he would go every time. But oh God, that's who we need to call to talk to about Hooters. God damn, that guy loved Hooters. But I don't know, it was a part of my life. I don't know how to explain it. You want it to exist for some reason. It's not because I think it should or that I get why it's failing. I understand. There's so many choices for places to see scan. You can go to the mall and see women dressed the same way as they're dressed at Hooters. Yeah. So, I get why it's not working, but I hate the fact that it isn't. Does that make sense?
No, I get that because, look, there's a lot of things. I mean, we talk about going back and watching movies from our childhood that, like you say, you don't want to rewatch them in case they don't hold up. And I totally understand it.
Yeah.
But I do it all the time. But I think this is kind of something similar where it's it's a little nostalgic for us as kids. You were talking about Playboys. I remember the first ones we found, we were there was this big, if you want to call it a tree or a bush out in front of my grandfather's house, on the corner.
And if it was in Playboy, obviously it had to have.
No, not that one. That was a landing strip. So these Playboys were from the 60s. But somebody had turned this tree into a little fort for us where there's an area that was opened up and we'd go sit on the branches. There's plenty of room in there and we would look at Playboys, and it's kind of how my childhood started off where I'm like, what is that?
Right.
Oh,
yep. It changes your life. 100%, man. This is the other wild part about Playboy is that when my old roommate and I moved in together, he said to me, we should get a subscription to Playboy. And I said, what? He was like, just have it out on the coffee table when people come over. I was like, are you for real?
Conversation piece.
He was like, yeah, absolutely. And I said, all right, I guess we'll do that. Well, turns out within a couple years, he was gay.
Oh, wow.
And it was his idea to get and I remember after he told me, it was one of the first questions I had, why did you want us to subscribe to Playboy? And I swear to God, straight shoot, he was like, dude, if I tell you that I legitimately read the articles.
I would read the dumb jokes after the centerfold. But, the other thing about Playboy back then, it was well, wait a minute, who's posing for Playboy? You hear some famous person is doing
there was
it,
a lot of
someone
that.
from pop culture.
Yep.
I got to see it.
Yep.
And now
100%.
everything's online or they've already created an OnlyFans.
That's true. That is a good point. I didn't even care who it was. It was if somebody walked up to me one day and was like, how do you feel about the professional wrestler Chyna? You'd be like, she's a good wrestler. And then somebody would say well, she's in Playboy. Do you want to see? Of course I want to see. Obviously.
Is that a little penis? Oh, sorry.
Set down over there. Oh God, yeah. I'm really sad about the Hooters thing, and I don't even want to I really did. I had that moment where I was just it's part of our culture. I want it to exist, even though I know it's not going to exist. And then, have you ever sent anyone a text with a picture of yourself that said, "Looking a little chunky"? Have you ever done that in your life?
Send it to someone else?
Yeah. Maybe no,
I don't mess with people in their weight.
Maybe no. You send it about yourself. You send a picture of yourself and you say looking a little chunky, maybe to the married woman in the marching band that you're sleeping with.
Oh, Oh, I got you. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that part of it. No, I've never done that.
No.
I mean, this story is loaded too, man.
Allegedly. Allegedly. God, the number of times that I said.
I don't think there's any alleged about it.
Oh, we know that.
Recording of Steve Smith saying sorry.
Jeremy, we know that's true. But I have worked in this business long enough to know that anytime we talk about this topic, I'm going to use the word allegedly 1,000 times.
With this guy.
As I
get it,
particularly when it comes to Steve. Oh, my God. When it comes to Steve Smith, I'm going to use allegedly every other word. When Rita and I were talking about it yesterday, every time she kept going, I threw in another allegedly. I'm like, allegedly!
That's why I asked it this morning. I said, do we have to say allegedly if, like, there's evidence that's online?
Right.
Like, yeah, you still do.
Yes, you definitely still have to say allegedly. You want to keep
By the way, I know we do this all the time. Can I give you something to watch if you haven't seen it? And I know you'll love it.
Oh, please, by all means.
Have you watched the Sly and Family Stone documentary?
No, but that sounds like something I would like to watch immediately. Where is it?
Amazing. I don't know what platform it's on because, again, my TV, I can't explain everything with that, but I'll try to figure out what platform it was released on. But I don't know if people know what a genius Sly was.
Oh, my God, man.
So incredible. He's the most sampled artist in the history of music, and he doesn't own his rights, so everybody else makes money off it instead of him. And that was something that happened early on to him. But
his
that
life
movie,
came.
And then I've heard great things about the Led Zeppelin one that's coming.
But that's only in IMAX, right? Like it's not streaming, is it?
No, it's not streaming yet, but it'll show up on a lot of those movies, the documentaries and stuff.
I thought the bit with that one was they were specifically doing that to try to get people to go to IMAX theaters. Was the Led Zeppelin one?
Yeah, but it's fun to see it in there. But I'd just rather watch it at home on my couch.
God, I'm gonna go back to being 16. I remember being 16 and I was dating a girl and I wanted to impress her, so I was like, "We'll go to the IMAX. We're not gonna go to the movies. We're gonna go to the IMAX." Remember, at the time, the only place that had an IMAX was the Science Center, right? Like there was no. It's not like today where you can go to your local Cinemaplex and they've got an IMAX theater. If you wanted to go to IMAX, you had to go to the Science Center or in order to watch it. So
Planetarium.
Yeah, exactly right. So we get there. And I had no idea what it was even showing at the IMAX, right? I was just like, we're going to the IMAX. This will impress this 15-year-old girl. So if I take her to the IMAX, she'll be like, wow, this guy's he's sophisticated, all right? Like he goes to IMAX. The only movie that was showing at the IMAX theater was a documentary about NASCAR.
Nice.
And I looked at
rubbing racing.
I'm like, yeah, we could do something else. But
oh man, that's rough. I've had a couple of those things happen to me where it's like you've got all this stuff greatly planned, you think it's going to be a good time, and it just blows up in your face.
Dude, my go-to first date in high school was a putt-putt and friendlies. That was my go-to first date. Until that first,
I like that.
Yeah, it was a great one. Right until the first date was with a girl who was lactose intolerant. Right.
Oh, nice.
Up until that.
So no putt-putt for her.
Right. Yeah, she can't do that. She can't do that. By the way, as far as I don't even care. Like the crazy part about the Steve Smith thing is who gives a flying F? Like who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I see people dragging the guy, but I get it from his standpoint of I've got nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
I want to ruin your marriage. I want to ruin her. Scorched earth. I get it. And then the backtracking, it's he deleted a bunch of this stuff, and it's dude, it's out there.
You
it doesn't matter.
You can't
now.
take it back now. Yeah, 100%.
But the other thing that bothered me is they were dragging the girl for her, not because she slept with Steve Smith, but because she's not pretty enough, apparently, to everyone.
For Christ's
sake. BS, man.
Oh, that's not okay. That's not okay. Look, man, Steve Smith might have to address issues in his marriage. That might be a conversation. I don't know. Dude, I've said this sentence a million times before. People have sex. Sometimes they have sex with people besides the people that you think they're having sex with. As long as it's all consenting adults and everything you're doing is legal, I don't give a flying F what you do.
I don't think the husband knew about the choking thing.
Maybe not have known about the rearrangement of the IUD. That part.
Oh my!
Seemed like it might have been a bit of a surprise.
Do you think everybody would be embarrassed if people heard them talking dirty or their sexting messages?
Dude, if your sex got out there, this is the nice part, is that no, that's not true. I did, because my wife and I broke. I always talk about how I never did online date. I've never found an online hookup in my life because
I don't think I have either.
Those apps didn't really come to prominence until. I remember at one point when my wife and I were dating, we broke up, and for a second I thought about getting on an app. But like literally that night I went out and hooked up with a girl. Like I was like, I don't need to get on one of these apps. I'll just do the thing that I've always done when I've been single. I'll go to a bar and meet someone. Like that's the way that it'll work. So I never used a website or an app or anything like that to meet someone. So I was thinking, did I ever really get to do it? And I'm like, yeah, I did. There was definitely like even with my wife, right? Like we definitely, there was some of that. And particularly thinking about the age that I was at the time, God knows. Oh, it must have been heinously embarrassing, the things that I was saying.
Yeah, I had one time with, and I don't mind saying it, with my wife, where it's like, okay, let's get a little aggressive here, let's talk dirty, and then I said something, and then she laughed at me, and I was like, this is never getting said again.
Oh, I don't know if I should. Oh God, now I got to think about whether or not I share this story.
My wife, and she laughed at you too. Is that what you're gonna tell me?
She was like, I can't believe I found one smaller.
I'm gonna rearrange your IUD.
I swear to God. Man. Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna share. We're gonna get into oversharing. I'm gonna pass.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass
I
on
already
over.
said somebody's name I shouldn't have.
Yeah,
so.
right. Well, he's fine. Look at the life he has for himself. He's all right.
Look.
I was gonna talk about sports, but the hell, we're not gonna do that today. What's going on in the Big Bad Morning Show?
Yeah. So, Ed and I had that big poker tournament this week down at Horseshoe Casino for World Series of Poker we're playing in. So we've been.
I've enjoyed the video content that you've been doing. That's been fun.
Yeah, so I came up with some ideas, and then they're actually talking about using the commission Conn, and turning it into like an 80s themed sitcom.
I like it.
And my whole idea was like I walk into the room and say something off color or ask them a question that is kind of, you know, like what was the one I said today? Like I walk up to them and say, hey, when you guys wipe your ass, do you ball it or fold it? And like we've talked about that on the air, but I'm just trying to give you an example.
Right.
Or hey, how many little people do you think you could beat up at once? And go from there, because it's only going to be like 10 seconds of us talking or 20 seconds.
That's not bad. I like that.
And have a bunch of those shows done. Yeah, because I think they can be clever.
And more with your clothes off, I would say, is probably.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's
what somebody came to me and said, do you just want to take your clothes off? And I was like, I don't know.
Have you met?
I mean, it's nothing impressive. I'm not showing anybody anything. So.
That's cool, man. That is very cool. I dig that. Are you good at poker, by the way, or like is?
Well, I used to be. So here's the problem: is I'm good enough to be there for 8 hours and not win money.
Yeah.
Like I'm good enough. Like I know what I'm doing. I'm enough of an amateur that they're not going to get a feel for me right away, but eventually they will. Like if I'm speaking honestly, I used to go to New Jersey or Atlantic City and play in some poker tournaments. Sure. Nothing of this magnitude, but. You know, like I guess we'll see. I just don't play poker.
In the rise of like the World Series of Poker and like when the junkies were like huge on poker and all that, we had to be involved with some of those events. Like when I was at the old, and I would always have the same thing happen where like I could play for a while and I'd be doing well, and then I just get to a point where I was like, yo, I'm bored. Like I'm done. And I would just recklessly go all in on nothing. Like I just say, I just want this to be over. I don't have it in me to keep sitting here at this table for hours like this. Like it would become torturous. And even
that's the thing. It's like Ed and I were talking about. Like it's a 3-day tournament. It's like, all right, so I'm coming out. If anybody beats me, like knocks me out, you win $1,000 and $1,057, the 105.7.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Ed. And it's like, and then there's a rebuy. So there's a bunch of cats that are going to come in and just go all in early. So it could just be an early day where I say goodbye, but. If I put some chips together, I'm really going to try to play, and that's what I think is going to happen. Is I'll be there 8 to 10 hours and not win anything.
Man, I can't. I don't have those. I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to just sit and play poker for that long. I can't. I got to do something else. Give me something. Let me get up and go. I just don't have it in me for that. But that's cool.
You got to be mentally tough to do that stuff,
really
man. I don't know that I'm there.
All right, buddy. At JCon Sports, of course, concretelocks.com with 2 N's, as always, is where you find him. Love you, pal. We'll talk to you next Monday, all right?
Thanks, man.
There you go. It's Jeremy Conn. We had to get to the bottom of the Hooters thing, though. Like, that was important.
Yeah.
Like, we had to do that. And Rob Ray. Those are the things that were high on the list for a conversation with Jeremy. I mean it about Hooters, dude. Like, I'm oddly sad about it. Oddly very sad. Now, part of it is I also had to do a lot of live broadcasts at Hooters over the years, and I had some great Aisha Tyler came and did a broadcast with us at Hooters once, like, which,
of course,
I'm Archer obsessed. So I was losing it. We even took like a dumb picture we both held. Like, we even did that. Jay Farrow.
How do we save it?
What's that?
How do we save it then?
Save what?
Hooters. So you can.
Oh, what do we do?
Yeah.
Well, I think Devin Booker's got a better chance than us.
Right. Well, so we need to start doing shows there again?
I don't know, man. Well, this one's no longer an option, unfortunately. This one's been closed for a while.
Yeah.
Is the one downtown still open? I don't even know. It's been that long since I've gone to it.
Years,
and the one in Ocean City, the one in Ocean City was like a legendary
that's
Hooters. What did they call that? Like
that
the original OC Hooters or something like that? Which, like, I don't think it was the first Hooters ever, so I never really understood why it was the original.
Yeah,
but it's been there for a long time, man. Like that one was iconic. I genuinely have no idea if these places.
Looks like Laurel is the nearest Hooters.
The one downtown's closed.
Yeah, at least according to
that's rough.
My phone. Yeah,
that's rough. I had a lot of great times. Van Valkenburg and I did a show there once, and Jay Farrow from Saturday Night Live showed up. Like, I guess because it was after the Improv. The Baltimore Comedy Factory was open for a little while and was like right across the street. So when I think I was doing shows there every Friday of baseball season, or every Friday home game of baseball season. And so the Comedy Factory would just send over whatever comedian was in town because they knew that I was right. It was like a convenient, well, hey, he's right across the street. Like, let's just send him over. And so then it was weird because, like, Aisha Tyler, they're like, will you have security there? And we were like, for Glenn? Because it was just me by myself. Like, I didn't even have a producer there with. No, that's not true. I think a couple times I had a producer there with me. But sometimes
you were engineering and
because
and
it was
yeah.
like sometimes it would just work out that way where they'd be like, look, we don't have anybody. It was a low budget operation over there. And they'd be like, we don't have anybody in town that can do this or anybody can get the day off to come. So, like, can you just go set it up yourself? And, like, we'll come down for a little while to help you. And then, but, like, to get somebody to commit to 5 hours of being there, like, was really tough. And so, like, we had people that would be the backups in these situations, but, like, they had other jobs. Like, we didn't have a full-timer that we could just say, hey, you have to be at this place on Friday. And so, I mean, like, they actually still do that sometimes even at the radio station where they tell Tim Barbalace, like, you also have to engineer this broadcast. Like, that's the way it's going to work. But it was for me. I was doing a one-man show. So they'd be like, yeah, we're going to send Aisha Tyler over. And she's just, like, wandering around. There's nobody to find her.
You're, like, live, and you're like,
hi, Aisha, I'm over here. At a Hooters. But yeah, Van Valkenburg and I did a thing with Jay Farrow there. Remember that? Keenan Ivory Wayans came over one day. I was like, holy F. Keenan Ivory Wayans, like a legitimate legend. Just wandered into Hooters to hang out. Like, we had that was a great couple of summers. Kelly Bell showed up one day out of nowhere. He was just like, I think at Hooters, I think. Like, just having lunch, maybe, and then saw that I was there and was like, hey, dude. I'm like, Kelly Bell, what's up, bro? We sat down and chatted for a while. I love Kelly. I have a lot of great Hooters-related memories. Like, we definitely did player shows at Hooters in Towson. I remember Terrence Cody did one with us. And, like, these guys liked me. There was something about being at Hooters. It was like a different thing. You could kind of let your guard down a little bit because you were at a Hooters. And so I definitely remember doing one with, like, Art Jones where he, like, put on Hooters gear. And then one night we did a bit where I was a Hooters waitress in training. And I didn't, like, wear the shorts, but...
Well, then how were you really training?
I do remember there was a bit where, like, if the Orioles traded for a certain player, I would go back and do the whole thing
you knew
in the shorts.
They weren't going to.
Yeah, well... I was hoping. I just really wanted to put the shorts on. But, like, I did. I took orders. I went back into the kitchen. Like, they did a whole thing with me where I was a Hooters waitress in training one night. I had a lot of great memories related to Hooters, and I'm sad about it.
Sorry about Hooters.
Yeah, it's a bummer. but again, I say that, like, I didn't even know that one downtown was closed. Like, that's... Yeah. I'm not trying to lie. I know why it's in trouble.
This is it's the what? That place is closing, and then you realize...
For a little while, like...
You don't know.
Oh, God. I've got other stories I can't tell, but I'll leave it at that. Okay. We'll come back in. We'll get a tidbit. We taking all the breaks? Good. We don't need to take because it's 12:30, and I actually, unfortunately, have to work from home the rest of the day. So let's get a tidbit then. Tidbit is brought to you by the CIAA tournament.
That's right. Baltimore is welcoming the excitement of the Food Lion CIAA men's and women's basketball tournaments back to CFG Bank Arena starting tomorrow, Tuesday, February 25th, and it runs through Saturday the 1st. Get your tickets. They are available now at Ticketmaster.com. Again, head over to Ticketmaster.com to get your tickets tomorrow for the Food Lion CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament at CFG Bank Arena, February 25th through March 1st.
All right. What you got?
I touched on that Duke beatdown of Illinois on Saturday. That was the largest margin of victory. This comes from Jared Burson, by the way, a good college basketball statistician on Twitter. I get plenty of info from him. By any team against a 43-point win, largest victory by any team over a Big Ten opponent in non-conference play since December of 2000, when also Duke beat a Big Ten team, Michigan, by 43 back at Cameron Indoor. So the largest beatdown of a Big Ten team that we've seen in across 3 decades now, 25 years.
Wow. I mean, that sucked.
There was another big win on Saturday night. BYU went into McCall in Arizona in Tucson and beat the Wildcats 96-95. I think was the final. They won by 1 point. BYU did. That was the most points by a visiting team in a game at McCall since December of 2009, when also BYU beat Arizona.
It's very random.
But that was Jimmer Fredette dropped 50 or 49 actually,
Okay.
and they beat Arizona 99-69. That was the last time. That was also the last time BYU was ever playing at Arizona.
Because they weren't. They were in different leagues until BYU joined the Big 12.
So
when Arizona joined the Big 12, right?
But for whatever reason, BYU has good luck in Arizona.
How about that?
Yeah. And then I
can pull up Tubular, by the way, because of my computers.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
And then there wasn't just there just weren't a whole lot of stats. So Jay Kuda shared one last night. That was a good one. There are I'm not sure what the significance of it was or why he shared it, but there are 7 players in NBA history that have hit multiple game-winning, buzzer-beating threes with their team down 2. So go ahead.
In NBA history?
7 players have done this multiple times.
I mean, are you serious?
Yeah.
This could be anybody.
Well,
Kobe.
Sure. Yeah, Kobe.
Steph.
Steph has not done this multiple times.
He sucks. Jordan.
Nope.
LeBron.
Nope.
Who are these people going to be? Ray Allen.
Nope.
Damian Lillard.
Damian Lillard has done this multiple times. Team trailing by 2 in a go-ahead game-winning three-pointer at the buzzer.
We could be here for
multiple times. You got Dame. You got Kobe.
Reggie Miller.
Not Reggie Miller.
Paul Pierce.
Guess not Paul Pierce.
Larry Bird.
No Bird.
Oh, my God.
Let's see.
Durant.
Not Durant.
Harden.
They're all on this side. Okay, one of them was he played in the 90s, and then all the other ones are on this side of 2000. Not Harden.
Westbrook.
Nope.
Kyrie.
Nope.
Dirk.
No.
Dwayne Wade.
We got a teammate of Steph on here.
Clay?
Not Clay. He's not currently active, but he played.
Iguodala?
Andre Iguodala. This is obviously famously why Max Kellerman said, death beam pointing at the world. You got to knock down a shot.
Okay.
Give me Iguodala.
Okay.
So Kobe, Dame, Iguodala. 4 other guys on this list.
4 other guys. Allen Iverson.
No AI.
Gilbert Arenas.
No Gilbert Arenas.
Is there a Spur on the list?
No Spur.
We're just gonna do this. Is there a Maverick?
He played on the Mavericks. He's not most known for being a Maverick.
For being a Maverick, but played for the Mavericks at some point.
He also played for
Steve
everyone.
Nash.
Not Steve Nash.
He also played for everyone. Oh. How about Robert Horry?
No, not Robert Horry.
Known as Big Shot Bob, famously. How about, all right, is there a Laker?
No other Lakers.
Is there a known Clipper?
Yes.
A known
Actually,
Clipper.
2 guys that spent some
Paul George.
Time. Not Paul George.
Kawhi Leonard.
Not Kawhi Leonard.
Chris Paul.
Not Chris Paul. You're going to get there, though. This is the
Gonna
right
get
team.
there?
It's the right team.
I'm on the right. Well, I don't think it's Blake Griffin.
It is in fact
Shut
Blake
the-
Griffin, knocking down multiple go-ahead game-winning buzzer-beating three-pointers in his NBA career.
J.J. Redick?
Not J.J. Redick.
Oh God, another Clipper.
Yeah, another Clipper here.
How about? And you're telling me it's from the same?
Yeah, from that same team, like that same. Yeah, mid 2010s.
Mid 2010s Clippers. It's not Sam Cassell.
No, it's not.
I don't know. Who am I blanking on? Hang on. Shut up.
I know.
Shut up,
I don't.
you.
I definitely don't want to give it to you.
How about? This is gonna drive me nuts. I don't know. I'm gonna come up with it.
Not Dikembe Mutombo, John. Good guess.
John guessed Dikembe Mutombo.
Good guess, but not him.
It's a terrible guess.
Blake
It's
Griffin's
not
the
a
only
good
like.
guess.
Yeah, Blake Griffin's the only like big man.
Crawford.
Jamal Crawford, yes. Has
Really?
knocked down- yeah. Yep. Blake Griffin and Jamal Crawford. I guess for whatever the Clippers I guess played in a lot of close games during that time. And then
Tracy
two
McGrady.
more. No Tracy.
Grant Hill.
No Grant.
Joe
Hill.
Johnson.
No Joe Johnson.
God, we're gonna have to do teams again. Is a Celtic.
No.
A Nick.
No.
A Net.
No.
A Wizard. A Sixer.
No.
A Hornet. A Hawk. A Magic. A Heat. A Raptor. A
Okay,
Bull.
yeah. So the guy that we said was he was drafted by the Raptors.
Drafted by the
or was
Raptors.
this the stupid? He started his career with the Raptors. He technically wasn't drafted by them, but because of the stupid NBA.
Started
Like,
his career with. Is he most known as a Raptor?
I mean, I would say
Vince Carter?
Yeah, Vince Carter.
Definitely most known as a
Was
Raptor.
All right, I don't know.
Definitely
Hawks. He ended his
most
career with the
known.
Hawks. He did spend a lot of time in
No,
Dallas.
most known as a Raptor by far.
Vince Carter is the one.
Is that it?
Then there was one more. He
Oh,
was
for-
drafted in the first round in 1988 out of Bradley.
Oh, Hersey Hawkins.
Hersey Hawkins.
Okay,
Hersey
all right.
Hawkins. I guess that's
All
why
right.
Jay Kuda pulled this up. But yeah, Hersey Hawkins is on that list. Kobe, Dame, Vince Carter. It was a good one.
He really guessed Dikembe Mutombo.
It's a good one.
God, I don't think he's made 3 threes in his life. All right, very good. Let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
How many career threes did Dikembe Mutombo make?
I'm going to go 0.
0 is the correct answer. How many career threes did Dikembe Mutombo attempt?
Wow. I'm going to say like maybe there was, end of the third quarter, he's just going to jack up a shot. 2.
2 is the correct answer. For his career, Dikembe Mutombo 0 for 2. He took one in 1993-94 and then one in 1995-96 when he was playing in Denver. So there you go.
Don't besmirch my guess of Mutombo. I didn't hear the question and always guess Mutombo NBA. Okay. That's the bit. That's the bit. No one knew about this John Proctor bit.
Hell of a guess. All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise this evening. Couple of local hoops teams in action. Coppin State is at home tonight at 8 o'clock against Howard on ESPN+. Morgan's on the road at Norfolk State, 7:30, also on ESPN+. If you're an MLB TV subscriber, you can get the Atlanta audio for Braves-Orioles today. Ronaldo Lopez and Dean Kramer, the first up. Houston, Texas Tech tonight at 9 o'clock on ESPN. That's decent. Big Ten hoops.
When's the new poll out? 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I think so. Michigan, Nebraska, 8 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. Everything else college basketball, find at GlennClarkRadio.com. TGL tonight at 5 and 9 on ESPN 2. An old double dipper.
Playoffs or something?
I have no idea. Why would you ask? Monumental Nets Wizards 7, Timberwolves Thunder at 8 on NBA TV. TNT for Unrivaled tonight at 7:30. NHL Network Sharks Jets. The Sharks and Jets. Oh no! Stay cool, boy. You don't know the Sharks and the Jets?
I guess not. Is that like a band?
No. Oh no. legendary West Side Story rival gangs, the Sharks and the Jets.
The Sharks?
Did I say Sharks? The Sharks. That's been everybody's rival gang. The Sharks and the Jets,
Darn it,
legendary rival gangs from West Side Story.
Okay, that's a good one.
Boy, I can't believe they're getting together tonight. Oh, my. How do they not do like a theme for that whenever the Sharks play the Jets?
You're right, they should.
7:30 tonight.
They play a lot, don't they?
I don't know. How would I mean, I guess they play every season, yeah. MLB Network for Yankees, Red Sox at 105, Dodgers, Reds after that, and Netflix tonight for WWE Raw at 8. Non-sports.
Why is TGL not tomorrow night, isn't it?
I think they're also tomorrow night.
Oh, wow, they're going back to back here. Okay. There's really nothing. Let's see. If you want the late nights, Woody Harrelson and Wendell Pierce will be on Colbert.
They are, of course, plugging the Sharks and the Jets.
Oh, they are?
That's
big hockey guys?
Yeah.
Both of them?
Well, they're big fans of West Side Story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that would be.
I wish
they're not talking about talking about hockey. They're just talking about.
Am I right that Steak was that from West Side Story? I don't remember.
The Bachelor's on tonight, as is Chris Pratt, and Drew Carey will be on Jimmy Kimmel.
It is. It's called Cool. Yeah, I nailed this.
Good.
Look
Well
at
done.
me, Mr. Theater over here.
Hello. Chris Pratt and Drew Carey on Kimmel.
Oh, yes. They, of course, are I don't know any movies that are coming.
Chris Pratt.
Nosferatu now on Peacock.
Oh, that's
what
why. I think Chris Pratt is actually on there to talk about White Lotus, just how much he likes it, because his brother-in-law is in White Lotus.
Who's his brother-in-law? Patrick
Patrick's-
Schwarzenegger, right, because
yes.
he married Arnold's daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they estranged from Arnold, or is that? No, that's not true. They're still. They just got divorced. They got the Maria Shriver and Arnold got divorced, but I think they're all. I think they're fine. The kids are fine. Anything else?
Nope. That's it. It's a slow night.
That's
not sports-wise. You're watching.
I haven't watched episode 2 of not of West Side Story. I'm all in on West Side Story.
Don't say anything.
Of White Lotus yet. I haven't watched yet. So I got to do that. I was too busy watching the terrible Euphoria. That was.
No one's forcing you to do that.
Way too busy.
It's that bad.
It's dreadful. What a terrible show. I will of course continue to watch.
That bad, is
of course, it's bad, man.
I don't think it's not what I heard.
That's what because everybody.
You're gonna make me watch it.
We're not gonna do this. Thanks today to Jeremy. Thanks also to Coach Matt McCall as well as to KZ. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program.
We'll talk college basketball.
Yeah, with
right?
Patrick, of course.
And we'll do some baseball with J.J. Cooper.
Stuff and things. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners. Gotta pick up pace at some point. Gotta get there. Thanks to all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, CIAA Tournament, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costa Sin, MSA, Maryland Sports, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go Morgan, go Coppin, Duke sucks.